Welcome back to Playday 4 for the Rainbow Six Siege US Division. I'm Jackie Jing, I'm with Veli and Jesse, and wow, what a first match. That was amazing to watch, but a lot of action ahead of us. Now we move on to TSM versus DarkZero. Gentlemen, let's talk about Group B. How are we feeling? Let's talk about the bracket as well. Jesse, I'm gonna start with you.
Yeah, so Group B, I think from the start has been a really fiery one. Obviously, earlier this week, we saw a match that a lot of people were hyped up for, and I'd say lived up to expectations. Tempo Storm versus Sonics in the losers bracket was a really, really exciting one. Obviously, a big rivalry there. Sonics once again crushing Tempo Storm. It was close, though. Tempo Storm, they got a lot of rounds, even though they didn't find a map. And then obviously also TSM and DarkZero, that's a highly anticipated matchup as well. So Group B has always been built up as this one with rivalries, as one with very close teams, and I think today we're going to see a continuation of that.
Veli, I mean, TSM versus DarkZero. How are you feeling, man? I mean, this is going to be another big matchup.
This is a treat. This is a chef's kiss. You're looking at two of the top 5 teams in the world last time we had our last really big tournament, which was 6 Invitational. But there's a storyline between these two teams now. You have DarkZero, they fell out of first place. They're battling back up. But the team that frog leaped them is going to be TSM. But TSM, they've also had some changes. They don't have Pojo Man as their main support player. Now they brought in Chala, and it's going to be all about how this team performs against one of the best in the world.
We definitely have a lot to talk about, but really quickly, let's check in with our casters, Blue and Stokes. And usually, gentlemen, I'd be like, y'all missed out, but I don't know, I'm really hyped about this matchup as well. How are you all feeling?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, we're doing pretty good. I'm personally very excited to jump into this matchup. There's a lot of cool factors coming into this matchup, some of which is going to be presented to you guys in a few minutes, which I think is going to make this one really interesting. On top of that, we saw a couple bumps for both of these teams, which are traditionally very strong teams in the North American region, and now we get to reflect back on that match from last week, see what kind of improvements have been made as they're going to go up against arguably a stronger opponent than they faced last week, so they absolutely need to be in tip-top shape. Stokes, what are your thoughts?
I'm extremely excited as well, but as you said, I don't want to give any spoilers for this. So there's a lot of stuff to break down, a lot of stuff to unpack. Just very excited to get into it.
Gentlemen, we will let you prepare for the matchup. Let's check back in with our analysts here. And let's get right to it and start talking about this matchup. We'll begin with TSM. So TSM continues to be a fan favorite. They have had exceptionally great matches against SI. They also beat Tempo Storm fairly easily last week. But Veli,
yes,
DarkZero could be one of TSM's toughest competitors.
Of course, the battle against Tempo Storm, that was just a match that we knew wasn't going to go in Tempo's direction. The fact that it was close and no shade to Tempo was surprising, okay? And why is TSM so popular? A lot of people think that I'm a fanboy of him, but I'm not. But hey, why not? We all simp for Bolo at the end of the day. Bolo, he plays now, for everyone that's asking when he plays in DarkZero. They're not Tempo. This team is way more, I would go on record and say DarkZero, in my opinion, is the most organized team in all of NA. So that means that TSM, they have to have their homework done. I hope they really were thorough in that VOD review, because DarkZero, they're planning to attack TSM from everything that they know in their knowledge bank.
And Jesse, we just heard Veli talking about Chala a little bit earlier. I mean, he did quite well, and I think he is having a big influence on this team. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so if you missed out last week, Chala came into this roster and he really did make quite a splash. He had a fantastic performance. Was playing a lot of those like flank watch roles. He's playing a lot of Nomad. He was on smoke quite a bit on defense. So somewhat going back to his traditional roles of those like more support style roles, but he's not fully on the hard breach. That's been moved over to Geo. So it's nice to see him coming into a fresh new role and seemingly finding some success. I think he's been doing a really good job of just keeping himself alive, and I think TSM in general have done a great job of that. He managed to go for a 44% survival rate, which is pretty high for what we saw in week number 1, and then Achieve got the highest survival rate of the week at a great 48%, which is really, really good. That's almost half the rounds he's staying alive. So I think TSM, a big thing for them is keeping their players up, making sure they last through those rounds, and having smart plays to do so and keep themselves healthy.
All right, and now let's take a look at their opponent, DarkZero.
What's up, folks? I'm Jess Brohard, and with me here today I have Mint from DarkZero, gonna answer a couple of my questions. So hi Mint, how's it going?
It's going well, thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for being here. So first off, you beat the Sonics 2-1 last week. What was your main takeaway from that match?
Just kind of getting our feet wet, I think, during that match. You know, we didn't play a pro game for quite a while, just a couple months. So just kind of a good chance for us as a team to get another competitive match under our belt. Started out a little slow. I think we all kind of like realized that. And then like once we settled in, playing just like we've been playing these last couple months.
Yeah, and going back to that kind of slow start that you mentioned, we did see the Sonics, and we saw Super and how confident he and the rest of the Sonics were after that first game. So can you tell me how you guys were feeling heading into that second map, knowing that you had to take 2 right in a row in order to take the series?
In a best of 3, you know, the better team is going to win. You know, maybe sometimes a map will get stolen away from you, and that was how we just kind of felt that's what happened to us. So we're like, if we're going to be the better team, we're going to have to win the next 2 maps.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes things happen. You guys were able to adjust. You took the series overall, which is the important thing. We saw Hyper going off in, I think, all 3 of those maps. We saw Eclipse especially start popping off at the end there too. Can you talk a little bit about the team dynamic during that series?
Teams kind of like built around Hyper and Eclipse. They are our main entries, so pretty much, you know, we got them settled in. Like I said, I think we got them settled in on the first map. They performed still well on Consulate. And then going into the next 2 maps, I think we just kept like feeding them kills. A lot of the support plays from Hot and Cold, and you know, Skies as well. Just kind of, you know, getting them into the map, getting them aggressive, and getting them, you know, confident. And then as soon as that was happening, I think everything just started clicking for us as like a whole, just as a team.
So then moving forward to this week's matches, you are going to be playing TSM, who previously 2-0'd Tempo Storm. So how do you feel going into this match versus TSM?
We're confident as ever. We still think we're a top 2 team. We think it's us and SSG. You know, no shade to TSM, but I just think they haven't been consistent enough to earn the top 2 yet. So we're definitely ready to prove that. We definitely are a stronger team this season. They did beat us last split, but you know, we're kind of just ready to take it back from them.
What do you think of the other competition in Group B for this phase?
Yeah, I mean, I expect the end bracket to be, you know, us, TSM, SSG, and OXG, and then we'll go from there.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck this week.
Yep, thank you.
And that was a fantastic interview from our host, Jess Brohard. She's a new addition to the team. We are so happy to have her on board. Thank you so much, Jess. And she was speaking with Mint from DarkZero. And let's chat about DarkZero. They did beat TSM in Season 10. That was kind of a while ago now. And I think they're going to be really fired up today, gentlemen. They are determined to take down TSM. But, Jesse, they're burning for that win. Can they pull it off?
I think so. I think, you know, you heard Mint say it there in the interview. DarkZero believe they're a top 2 team along with SSG. Now, one of those top 2 teams have already fallen today, so hopefully for his sake, the other team in his mind won't as well. But I think that DarkZero definitely need to be considered one of the best teams in North America. They've got to be considered right up there with them. And I think just because it's been a little bit since we've seen teams play against like the other top teams in North America, there is a bit of a question mark on sort of who's higher on like the leaderboards between DarkZero and TSM. I think this is when we'll find that out, obviously, as they play against each other. But I don't think anybody can directly say, oh yeah, that team's better than this team or this team's better than that team when it comes to the top 4 in NA. Except maybe you can make the argument for Oxygen Space Station now.
Throw that in there, yeah.
That stung a little bit, man. Go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say, Veli, do you believe that DarkZero really has what it takes to be the very best in the U.S. division? I mean, kind of going off of what Jesse was saying.
I believe so. There's one weakness of DarkZero that I'm waiting for them to conquer. And a lot of teams, they say the same thing. Even Sonic said it before their matchup. A lot of people are saying that DarkZero, they are not that great against teams that are just unorthodox and just teams that run wild with these crazy strats and pushes, right? The moment DarkZero can master that, I think that pound for pound, they strat for strat, they can match up with anyone else. Once they're able to do that, I think this team could well be the best in the world.
And I want to say, really, it's going to be important for for TSM to really focus down Hyper. Yeah. I think Hyper was an amazing player for DarkZero in the first week. He was easily my week MVP. He had a 1.72 rating. He went plus 20. He had the highest KPR. He had the highest cost. I mean, the man just threw everybody else like under the boat. He was performing on another level inside of week 1. So if he can bring like half of what he brought in week 1, DarkZero are looking really good in this
And
matchup.
that's not even it, Jackie. This team still has Skies. Skies, to me, I think Skies is one of the better players out there. So the moment Skies really gets comfortable, and let's not even talk about Mint and Eclipse and the rest of them, this team is scary as hell.
Okay, y'all, you're hyping up both teams real big right now. I can't tell which way you all are leaning. So, Veli, I'm going to start with you. Who's taking this?
I'm taking DarkZero, and this is not to say
Okay.
I never believe in TSM, because I do. I'm just still questionable about Geo taking Pojo's role and Chala taking Geo's role. Because the last time these two teams met, I'm going to make it quick, Geo was the second best performer going 10-5 in that flex role. He was a vital part of their strategy, and that's why they won.
Jesse?
I think Veli makes a really good point. I'm going to agree with him that DarkZero are probably going to take this match. I think Chala has performed really well coming into TSM. I'm not as confident that the rest of the team have performed as well around him with him being in those roles. So I'm going to take DarkZero. Again, I think it's going to be ridiculously close. These are two of the best teams inside of North America, and it should be a good show. But DarkZero have just been more consistent in my mind, and they should take this matchup.
That's fair.
All right. Both of you saying DarkZero. Well, we shall see. We got so much coming up, everyone. But really quickly, do not forget to follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. We got our community poll as well. But yeah, here we go. TSM versus DarkZero in just a little bit. We'll be right back with our casters. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Bolo, and I play for TSM R6 as like a flex entry.
I'm Gio, and I play Hard Breach support.
Merc, I play entry.
I'm Pojo Man, I'm the coach of the team.
Hey, I'm Achieved. I'm the captain in IGL for TSM. Basically, since Pojo is now our coach, I've actually taken on the full responsibilities of the in-game leader role.
My role is mainly just, like a flex entry. I'm kind of like one of the main guys going in, following up a drone, getting the entry frags, or I'm just just kind of cooling it back, waiting for everybody else to do that, and I just, kind of fill in wherever I need to go.
I hold down the site, make sure I'm on the cams and giving my teammates info.
Entry for attack, and then site player for defense now. Outside of the team, it's kind of just like to keep everyone's like morale up, just be like a friend.
I'm hard breach support, and out of the game, I'm just vibes.
When I see an opportunity, I'll call it, or if I see adaptations, I'll call them. I'm not scared to make plays with the team and send them to where I believe is best.
I'm known for my aim. That's pretty good whenever you're running in trying to, shoot at 3 people at once.
I just keep even level head, just feed my teammates info.
When you're the first one in the building and you're going to be getting into a lot of fights, you need to have mechanical skills to like win certain situations that like you need to win. What makes Rainbow Six Siege challenging is the unpredictability of people. Like, you don't know what's going to happen in a round.
At the highest level, there is very intricate strategies.
Debris, bullet holes, punch holes.
So you kind of have to play smart and also have the skill to shoot.
Every operator has a unique ability, and you can use them differently in every situation.
You have to put on all the hours, all the dedication. It's just a tremendous amount of work. And people that are here deserve to be here because they've earned it.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to the North American League US Division. We are just a couple moments away from the beginning of our second match of the night between TSM and DarkZero. A true clash of the titans is getting itself ready to start here. Stokes, I know I asked you the same question before, but let's open up on it a little bit more once again. What do you think of this matchup before we get too deep into it?
Well, there's a lot to break down, and I'm actually surprised that most of our analysts, well, actually all of our analysts that put picks in, both picked DarkZero. I mean, looking through these teams and their history, TSM actually has a pretty good history against DarkZero. But I will say that I like what Veli said about how DarkZero strategize and how well suited they are for this type of matchup. DZ is a team that puts a lot of effort into Rainbow Six Siege. And I mean, even being inside of their team house, you can see schedules everywhere. The amount of effort that is put in just to make sure that the team is successful is insane. And I want to see all of the work they've been putting in and see if it actually pays off.
All right, well, we're going to figure that out. But before we get too deep into the discussion on this series, and more importantly, the maps that we're going to be playing into, we need to investigate this little conspiracy theory that Intero and Kix brought up earlier. Which team do you think is going to be wearing more bolo charms on the match tonight? Do you think it's going to be TSM, or do you think it's going to be DarkZero? Go ahead over to our community Twitter at R6esportsNA and submit your vote. We'll have the results a little bit later on tonight and see if you guys were right about that after all. Stokes, who do you think? Do you think we're going to have all DZ rocking those charms
I mean,
tonight,
they have to, right? I feel like everyone that's been rocking a bolo charm recently has been extremely strong. I mean, even if it is, kind of a voodoo type thing, put the charm on, you'll play better. Just do it anyways. I mean, some good luck can always push things the right way.
All right, well, we can take our discussion over towards the map pool now, I believe, and start to open things up there a little bit. Maps have been a little bit more of an open ball game with the beginning of this part of the U.S. division, simply because it's been a while since teams have played. So map pools are a little bit light. You can already see the first two bans coming out, Consulate and Clubhouse, getting knocked out by DZ and TSM, respectively. Villa is going to be the first pick from DZ. Thoughts on that, Stokes?
Well, the last time that DarkZero and TSM squared off, it was actually on Villa, and DZ ended up losing 7-4. So I think they want to run it back just off of how they played TSM the last time, or maybe they saw something inside of scrims or something along those lines that they wanted to bring them to this map for. But TSM's going to be bringing it to one of the newer maps. We're going to Theme Park.
And that's a map as well. Just to talk a little bit more on Villa real quick, to go back to that one, in the previous 5 times has potentially come up for DZ. It's almost always, in fact, been banned out by their opponent. In recent history, they have very little play on that map itself. So this is going to be bringing them back into the fold. And that could be potentially very scary that TSM has allowed that to go through. Our final map pick ends up coming in there as our last remaining map, and it'll end up being Oregon. So we've got a pretty, I'm going to say, interesting map pool for this matchup. Definitely shying away from the usual comfort picks these teams are aware of. We've got both the new maps in and Villa for this playlist.
Should be a lot of fun, especially with these being new maps. It's definitely going to be strat heavy, trying to show something that somebody hasn't seen before. But I think Villa is really where we're going to see who has been working harder at the strategy game. And honestly, with Pojo now being in that coaching role full time now for TSM, this could be a lot closer than people give it credit for.
Yeah, and of course, we have to talk about the individuals, which both went off last week. Chala specifically having himself a great game on the opener for TSM. And we also saw, meanwhile, over on the DZ side, I believe Jesse brought this up, Hyper having himself a lights-out match versus the Sonics last week and bringing his team out of definitely more than one, quite a few bad situations throughout the course of that series. The wait is over now, folks. It is time to get into map number 1 between these two teams. Let's get right down into it. TSM against DarkZero. We're going to start off on Villa, but remember, it's a best of 3, so these teams need 2 maps to take the victory today.
It's the best part about the NAL, John. We have best of 3s, and also there's no echo. So, granted, that's for everybody, but remember that as well. Going through these operator bans, we do not have echo in play, so you're not going to see him banned out, but he is still technically banned. So, Thatcher going to get removed off of the board, and I heard Michael talking about this earlier, that Thatcher has a 93% pick rate right now. Pick/ban. Yeah, gotcha. So, which is just ridiculous, and we're also going to have a Maverick ban. So it seems that the last couple of series that we've went through, Blue, are going to continue to trickle down into other games. So going to be very difficult for the offense to get any sort of wall open. That's going to be followed up with the Mira and a Maestro ban. So for all intensive purposes, everyone having very similar bans.
Yeah, this has been the most typical string of bans that we've seen so far throughout the first couple weeks of play. It's definitely kind of becoming a little bit more of a standard to see Mira, Maestro, along with Maverick and Thatcher get thrown out of the pool. It's going to make things especially difficult on a map like Villa. This is a very big map where the attackers specifically will need to spend a lot of time, depending on the site, of course, getting a good amount of map control before they can even attempt to take a site, and having the extra difficulties with trying to knock down reinforced walls is only going to add to the dilemma of trying to actually play into these attacking rounds while still leaving yourself enough time to get the diffuser down on the site.
All right, well, Aviator Games for our very first site here between TSM and DarkZero, starting things off upstairs. I want to see how Chala does now in this series compared to the last one. As you were notating earlier, he did so good on Oregon. Kind of fell off in the next map, but it doesn't really matter for the position that he plays. He's, as he said himself in that video, the intel guy. You want to make sure that he's getting that intel for his team and allowing them to get those entries or those nice kills on roam on defense. So with him playing the smoke, he's going to be quite pivotal, especially inside of Vault, trying to stop those plants.
Another thing that I'm interested to see is the individual performance from Geo going into this week. He's normally been a pretty pivotal part of TSM's mid-round play. We didn't really see that as much last week, I think due to the role switching that had been going on and around. So it wasn't necessarily his fault, but now seeing him jump on Jaeger in the first round here, I am curious to see if they're going to put him back to where things were before and if he's going to be able to find more impact as a result of that.
Well, as DarkZero's released into the map, TSM with pretty standard setup here, holding down on the top of main stairs with some ADS, trying to burn out as much utility as possible. Jaeger will Mai coming in as well, and Bolo on the Valkyrie for those Valk camps. So plenty of intel, wall denial, they got the whole 9 yards. Now it's just up to DarkZero to try and pick this apart.
Of course, already the round having been begun, we see a couple people from DarkZero already taking Astro control. That's Hyper, moved in with some support from Skies on drone Eclipse. It's also helping him out from the connector window a little bit, and more than likely we'll see this group of players all join up with Hyper and begin to commit to a push within the next 30 seconds or so here. You see TSM focusing almost entirely on the site side of the map. Very little roam presence, whether it's on the opposite master side of the map or just on a different floor. For the most part, everybody is hanging out just outside of the site in play for this round.
Drones working their way across the map. DarkZero starting from master and working their way towards the site. Obviously no roam game for TSM anywhere near this, but DarkZero already on 90 window, so making pretty good progress here. Still have plenty of hard destruction if they do want to go for the single panel inside of 90, and they see that no one's home, all except for the Womai being played by Achieve by the bar door.
See Hyper still trying to set himself up with a drone, and knows he's got a good idea that there might be somebody hiding out behind that reinforced shield, although I don't know if he got actual visual confirmation of that player just yet. That may be why he's holding on the drone for a few seconds. Either way, we get some of these Zofia charges ready to go. 2 will be sent out. And those were both of the explosive charge, or at least one of each. Excuse me, gets sent out there. He still has one of both types. Now the explosive charges are gone, as are the stun charges. As we use the final ones into the main door, leading into Aviation.
Some good Electro Claw work by Merc. Stop a couple of those hard X-Gyros from going off, but now TSM lights up the scoreboard 4 times in a row, making it a 5v1. It's all left up to Mint. Not very much HP on him left, but a very nice shot over towards Bus Door. Not going to matter, though. Bolo cleans it up for TSM, and they have round 1 in their pocket.
A pretty straightforward round for TSM at the end of the day. They don't have, like I said in the mid portion of the round, they don't have to do a whole lot of roaming. They don't have to do a whole lot of investigation around the map. They read into the DarkZero execute coming almost primarily from the master side of the map and just set themselves in sight to counter that out. And when push comes to shove, they just win every single 1v1 and every single battle that presents itself.
Well, heading down to Dining Room Kitchen now after that round. And as you were saying, quite a slow-moving round for DarkZero overall. Granted, they did get to 90 at 1 minute and 30 seconds. Still plenty of time, but the guns just came to life for TSM. We didn't really have a great spot to see exactly what happened either. It was just more or less the entire kill feed just lit up blue and a bunch of DarkZero members hit the floor. So hopefully this time around we get to see a little bit more of what transpired, but it seemed to be focused around the top of red, trying to force themselves into planes. But as we've notated, DarkZero was trying to rotate around towards 90, so could have overall just been botched after one initial angle fell off, but still a long game ahead of them.
TSM still messing with the site meta a little bit as they'll jump into this map for the second match in a row here in the US division. They're going to go back down into the kitchen for another site. Typically, we see teams go to the second upstairs site before attempting either of the downstairs sites, although we have noticed that that has started to change as of the last few months. LATAM teams, I believe, were the first to start more experimenting with it when it still had the option of playing into upstairs defenses, but other teams in other regions have also started to adapt that, especially around SI 2020 and after that.
All right, well, DarkZero now onto the field, and they'll be focusing their efforts upstairs, and that's exactly where Merc and possibly another member of TSM lie, but doesn't seem like, well, actually, I will hold my breath for just a second. We do have Geo upstairs playing on the connector right off of trophies, so 2 TSM members trying to stave off DZ, but drones should be inside in just a moment.
DZ once again taking that free map control wherever it does present itself. This time over towards Piano. Merc is going to get taken out in the meantime. I believe that's from a player outside of Master Window that clipped him while a barricade might have still been up. Mint's going to move in to finish him off. So no attempt to retrieve that, although achieved, is very close by and can still get the refrag against Mint if he wants to try and hop in for Master Control.
Well, now the troublesome thing is Merc's dead. Geo still has to try and hold on upstairs, but they've lost Master Control. So DarkZero can now rotate into Laundry, get the wall open into Dining. So this is going to be all on the site players to try and hold this off. TSM needs to bring this back to equal footing, though. Need to find themselves a pick. Sky's getting in a gunfight a little earlier on. It's taking quite a bit of damage, but it's DarkZero to push the envelope even farther.
Hyper with the most recent pick continues to, as you said, push the advantage for DarkZero even further into their own court here. Still about half the round to go as well. DarkZero are doing a great job making use of their time here and preventing the issues front four is running out of time and being forced into a site execute. 3 still standing tall for TSM though, and they're going to look to put a stop to this execute if they're allowed to. Got the members of DZ looking for a way in, but Bolo is going to find the first strike for TSM, catches one through the door into Laundry against Hyper and eliminates him before we can find any more impact. I'm still trying to ring off a few shots from another camera, but still nothing being found here. And all of a sudden, all that time, that extra time that DarkZero had is now gone. And they're going to be forced to make a move sooner or later here. They're coming to the very bitter end of their time. A nice catch from Skies. The timing, of course, could have been a little bit better, but still manages to get one down before he takes out any of his teammates. Achieved, however, will be able to trade that back and keeps the battle relatively even in a 2v3, but DarkZero are slowly but surely starting to work their way into the site. Skies with another find, eliminates Achieved. Chala trades it right back, takes out Houghton, leaving it all on to Chala in the 1v2. Still with 25 seconds left. Diffuser is on the ground, but I believe it's easily retrievable by a member of DarkZero. Yeah, there you go. It's not going to be a problem to get that picked back up. It's all coming down the how Chala chooses to play this here. Might have someone trying to make an aggressive move on him. Nitro Cell goes out. Looks like it's going to get shot. Didn't hear the explosion, but regardless is able to swing in for the second kill there against Skies. Now it's all on Mint. Mint trying to go for the frag, but no, he's not going to be able to get it in time. And TSM steal round number 2.
What an amazing round from Chala, able to extend his life inside of Kitchen, keeping TSM with a leg to stand on. And again, this week, showing exactly why he was picked up in place of Pojo Man. Amazing play from Chala in order to extend that once again. But TSM overall, not a bad round. Did start off kind of poor with an early pick onto Merc, but they quickly changed that.
A good attempt to rally the situation for DZ, but ultimately not able to fight out against the quick movements from Chala there. And more importantly, the smart movements to make sure he wins that out on the timer and doesn't take an unnecessary risk at the end of the round, considering how much of a roll of the dice that would be to a certain extent. Trying to have to deal with potential range issues, didn't know the full position of that player. A lot of stuff up in the air, so he makes the smart play. Backs up in the corner and waits for the timer to run out. 2-0 for TSM. Currently flawless on this defensive side, and they're going to continue to try some new things here. They're actually going to go for a living room defense, which is something we rarely see.
Very, very rare. I think this thing's only got about a 5% play rate on Villa when we see it, but even that, I mean, they've only went around to 2 sites. Usually we'd see Trophy and Statue by this point in time, but TSM having a different idea about it. I like the vertical play that they're putting into play here. With the reinforcements as well, so they'll be able to hold down the default plants inside of B with these as long as they're able to hold on to the upstairs. But that's the important thing. DarkZero's been attacking the top floors quite often here, especially on that last site. Obviously, since it was downstairs, they needed that top control, and it was one of the most important things for them to get a hold of. But now it's going to be more of the same, just on a different end of the map.
A little bit of IQ detection going on here for the Eclipse, just trying to see if we have any cameras or anything thrown outside. We don't have a Valkyrie on the defense, so obviously not much to look for in that department, but other things may still be present that he may need to take care of from out here. Bit of drone spotting. Unfortunately, that study door is going to be blocked out by a mute jammer, so won't be able to easily push past that towards the inside. Actually, looks like one did get past it, so excuse me, they might have taken it out already, or there just wasn't one there to begin with. Maybe I was looking at the stream wrong. Ah, that's where it is. Thank you very much.
Gotta keep
outside in the main hall instead.
Gotta keep track of those barbed wires. It's a full sprint for Hyper, already inside a study. Finds some soft destruction, nice angle into games, but nobody home for the time being. 90, completely empty as Geo rotates back into games here. Holding the side angle, trying to support Achieved inside of Gun Vault. They want to set up for this cross, just so the entry has 2 areas to worry about instead of 1. You don't want to give those 1v1s up so easily. TSM wasting a lot of time here, though. 1:38 on the clock. DZ, not even a lick of damage done to the defense.
It's a super long flash timer for Polo to have to wait through there. He had that thing on his screen for like 3-4 seconds. Geo is going to be able to pick up the first kill of the round in TSM's honor, however, as he's going to be able to knock out Eclipse. Houghton is also pretty heavily lit up, and to a certain extent, Skies, but there's also players on TSM that have been pretty extensively lit too. Bolo, as you'll see him go down now to Hyper. Hyper looks like he might be continuing this push, trying to take out yet another player on the inside of Gun Vault. That was Achieved taking the most recent duel against him, but Achieved wins that one out on HP and forces player from DZ to fall back.
TSM playing so smart here. Frag grenade out, followed by a C4, but the C4 doesn't do much, but Hyper does as he barrels his way into planes, kills Geometrics, but still has 1 to worry about inside of Gun Vault. Chala picks up a kill on the other side of the map, but now this is a very important duel between these two. Achieve still alive, no pre-fire here from Hyper, trying to check his angles, but it's Achieve with a nice move over towards Games to take down Hot and Cold. Still living and still thriving as Chala gets another kill from who knows where, I'm assuming through the floor, but either way, it's all down to Mint in this 1 versus 3. Only 26 seconds remain, but he will get 1 kill for his leisure upstairs. Mint now has the verticality, but still needs to be able to get a diffuser down here. Finds Merc.
Nice.
Very nice kill. This 1v3 is completely possible, but he's going to go for the kill instead of the plant. He has to find Chala. Where's Chala's location? He just saw the top of his head as well. Oh no, that shotgun's been so damaging every single time Chala's used it, but he misses the first shots, runs away, and wins it on timer again.
The timing of that peak for Chala was so much in his favor right there. If there was like a half-second desync difference, that last man on DarkZero, I think it was Hyper, immediately knows where he is and is going to be able to play that out, but unfortunately just isn't able to get it done. Misses him by that split pixel of a second, and Chala is able to hide behind that barrier, none the wiser to the last man on DZ, I'm pretty sure anyway. So a 3-0 lead, 2 timed out clutches in a row for Chala, as they're going to continue to trudge on at 3-0.
This is some amazing team play here from TSM. Honestly outstanding, especially with Chala getting that kill through the floorboards. You don't see that very often, even when it comes to competitive play where you're seeing kills through the floor like that, supporting your teammate upstairs. We don't really get that on cam, and to see that, especially to kill Hyper in that fashion, amazing play from Chala specifically, and overall an amazing hold from TSM upstairs.
TSM is getting themselves into a pretty secure position to work off of here over the next few rounds. Already 3 rounds set up on the defense. Going to try and push that envelope even further now that they've completed their first site rotation. All that, by the way, without ever using the second upstairs site, never going to trophy and statuary. So that's still a potential option for them if they want to bring it out as well, but they seem pretty comfortable in their current rotation of the 2 downstairs sites and aviation and games, which they're now back on, of course, since it's been unlocked.
I respect the game plan, though. I personally speaking, I don't really like that site, mainly because you have to hold down Master. You're forced to. You have to hold down the closet area or prevent them from getting that wall. As soon as that wall opens up, there's so many sightlines to worry about. Unless you already have man advantage, it puts you in a pretty bad spot. I like that TSM's trying something new and fresh by adding living room and library into that.
Certainly getting the better of DarkZero, whether that's the unfamiliar territory that they're forcing DarkZero to fight in, or the mid-round plays themselves from TSM. That's something for the analysts to determine, though. Already about 30 seconds into the round. Obviously, wouldn't have expected DarkZero to get away with much at this point. Got one player sitting on the outside of Study doing a tad bit of drone work and a few other close buys, while Clips right outside of the main door. You've got Hotton grouped up with Hyper trying to go for Study control. Good amount of utility being deployed over towards that shield to get rid of it and allow Hotton, along with a few other players, to start working their way in on Study.
Well, last time we were here, TSM lit up the scoreboard quite early. Well, not very early, just very quickly in succession with 4 kills, but it does start in their favor once again as an early frag on Disguise comes from TSM. Fast rotate from Achieved all the way downstairs, and that's what you're going to be seeing a lot here on Villa. That basement's huge and allows you to rotate throughout most of the map except for this south side with how many staircases it has leading to it. Eclipse trying to bully his way up main actually ends up working out in his favor as Hyper was assisting him upstairs as well from Study.
The mid-round reinforcement and bar coming out there as well, just to secure the one final wall. That will put things into better terms here, hopefully, for TSM after they've been traded out. And on quite a few players, if you look at the health pools, have taken an excessive amount of damage. So this would explain why they're now playing much more passively and trying to just seemingly at least run out the timer on the round. Eclipse with a great lineup. Heard some noise from Merc there a few seconds before. I don't know if that was necessarily his exact intended target, but ends up getting someone running into his crosshairs regardless. And starts to bring things back under DarkZero's control here in round number 4.
Well, as for TSM, wasting quite a bit of time, and even though they seem quite injured, they do have Chala with all of those smokes, and as we've seen already inside of this matchup, you never count him out when he's alive. Achieved, making it just a little bit more difficult for DarkZero to win this round. Brings it to equal footing. 3-3 man right now with only 35 seconds remaining. DZ needs to find a way to get a diffuser down. They don't have much sight pressure either, and that's where the trouble comes in. Those toxic babes of Chala are going to be able to stop at least one entry point for DZ. A very nice lineup here. Open intel Study, but Mint working things from the back, able to find a kill onto Achieved as DarkZero's trying to fight their way into planes. Nitro Cell Cells out, but a nice shot from Hyper rips it from the sky and then rips Bolo inside of Gun Vault. It's all up to Chala. He clutched out multiple times here so far, but Hyper puts a pin in that, and DarkZero finds their first round.
DarkZero committing themselves much more earlier and getting a lot of that very early control, which translates great into entries this time around, which was an area that got pretty much denied on in quite a few of the previous rounds, including the attempt onto that very site. So the first rerun of sites starts to work in the favor of our attackers as DarkZero get their first round on the board there. And we are finally going to see Trophy and Statuary now pop up for TSM as they'll go to it after a lost round.
All right, well, Trophy Statuary, as you were just saying, we haven't seen this one just yet from them, but it might be the, break glass in case of the other team winning a round site. You never really know. We'll see what their exact game plan is behind it, but we do have a 6 pick off of the Clash over to the Castle for Bolo. So one of the best aims in the game with one of the worst guns in the game. Let's see how that one works.
Take a look at the setup here. not a huge amount of variation when it comes to this site, so things should go pretty much according to plan here for TSM. Bolo, of course, going to be setting up some of those castle barricades on the windows leading to the outside, just making the attackers go through a little bit of extra effort before they work their way in. I believe he'll only put one, as far as the master windows are concerned anyway, just on that bathroom window due to the very unfortunate circumstances that can apply if an attacker gets access into that window unbeknownst to the defenders, especially if they're trying to play more aggressively, as we've seen TSM do at the beginning of these rounds.
All right, well, some reinforcements going up downstairs. TSM can at least hold off, make sure that DarkZero can't get too much pressure. Also, be able to stop some of those plants from going down with some nitro cells or something along those lines. We do have a setup here from TSM to be able to hold down the master closet as well. Achieve playing in there with Momai, gets those discs over time, so should be able to stave off some utility for at least a little while.
Once again, we've got TSM sitting nice and close to the site at the beginning of the round, only relying on 1 or 2 players to get their aggression done, but it is there. DarkZero in the meanwhile, taking things slow on this round, since once again, it's a little bit of an unfamiliar territory in that at least it's the first time they've had to attack this site on this map. Most of the focus for control is over here on aviation and game side to start the round off. Some Hyper's already moved in and has got it. Skies has done the same from the 90 jump-in window and is going to take some easy control there. Eclipse sitting right outside of connector window can add a late addition to this as he drones out the main 90 area along with top red, and then is going to probably start to pause off this drone at a moment and look for a way actually inside the building now that he's got it in a secure position.
It's up to TSM now to try and figure out where this take is coming from for DarkZero. Quite a bit of utility dedicated towards Master with those castle barricades, as well as Wamai being played by Achieve inside of Closet. Might need an adjustment here in just a couple of seconds. Air jabs now getting set up from Mint, and that might be his last one. Yep, actually, he sets one on red, and he sets one above the door, so no one going to be rotating out of Trophy. Back to the drones for DarkZero now, making sure that they have the entire map secured, at least intel game-wise, and we are going to have Eclipse rotate over towards Master. Obviously still has quite a bit of utility to worry about as we have the triple ADS stack inside with Achieved, as well as him getting those discs over time like we were talking about earlier. So nice little bunker setup here for TSM.
Trying to find out where Achieved is. We are going to see the nades start to get eaten up by the Wamai discs. That's going to keep Achieved in safe harbor for at least the time being. But eventually one of those is going to make it through, take out his reinforced shield. A nade going right on top of Bolo's head. Great shot from Skies to take him out. And that will give the first frag of the round, quite literally, over towards DarkZero. They're going to look to try and carry that forward. But remember, like I said, you still have Achieved in this position in Master Closet, but not anymore. Houghton is able to take him right out when he finally gets aggressive in towards the window. DZ looking for another pickup. They did lose Mint, although he is retrievable. Eclipse also took some heavy damage on the last fight. Hyper just pushing in the meanwhile. We aren't able to see a response from the defenders on the other side. Hyper, oh my goodness, hopping out to try and get the kill, but Houghton gets it instead from range. Merc so far with the only response, and now he's the only man left standing in a 1 versus 4, and they already have a good idea as to where he should be coming from.
DarkZero with one of their first diffusers getting set down here, so now it's all left up to Merc to try and secure this round for his squad. Already seen one post plant go pretty well for DZ. Let's see if the next one follows suit. 2 angles to worry about at the same time, and picks wrong when it comes down to it. Merc gets fried by Eclipse over on the door, and we're now down to the 6th round here. But overall, a great round here from DarkZero. Took things slow and steady, worried about study first, got the pressure there that they needed. TSM recognized it early on as well, and they were ready for it, but I think that the main thing that actually surprised them was how aggressive that they got towards benches. They hadn't adjusted anyone over towards there. The setup for TSM was mainly for Master. They wanted them to try and push Master, waste all of their time trying to get Achieved out of the closet, and everything, for the most part, ended up being botched, especially Achieve trying to pressure towards the closet window. It looked like you were able to hop it, but sometimes those windows just don't have enough destruction done to them when you think they do. You walk up to it and end up getting shot. So very unfortunate for him, but overall, a very good round from DZ. Very good patience.
Achieve's downfall, I think, slowly led into a waterfall of attack for DarkZero to start working its way out onto the site. Once he had gone down, the rest of the defense fell pretty quickly after that. So we will start to see TSM rotate back around to other sites, choosing not to repeat any of the lost sites so far. Both of them upstairs now being abandoned. They're going to head over towards kitchen once again to see if they can close out their final defensive round here on this map. Or here on this site, excuse me.
All right, well, just give me 1 second here. Okay, now I can see. Sorry, my program was broken for a second. I was trying to get things figured out, but we're good now. I now have vision. So, all right, we're downstairs. We're downstairs, Blue. There's Bolo here. He's playing Pulse. I'm caught up. I was like out for like 45 seconds. So, all right. So we're going kitchen dining here. Upstairs hold for TSM, looking pretty good. We are gonna have Mozzie. Haven't seen too much play from him in recent memory, but bringing him with the mute Mozzie combo, so should work out pretty well for them. And yeah, so no more Super Shorty for him. Has made it to where he hasn't been played as much as possible, but hopefully it works out for him here. Does still have that Nitro Cell, though, that can do quite a bit of damage, and a gun that works pretty well as well, as Merc's going to get into a gunfight with Hyper early on.
Mark's still waiting for that fight to swing in his direction after he did lose a little bit of HP from taking it. Goes back out to take it against Hyper, but that's a mistake. Hyper's ready for the duel, knocks out Merc instead, and takes control of games away from the defenders.
Drone game for DarkZero now as they spin upstairs. Still have Achieve to worry about inside of bathroom, but for the time being, DarkZero doing a very good job of roam clearing at multiple angles. You guys can see how they're working the map, especially with Hyper as more of a probe than anything, getting these kills, but it's achieved with a very fancy frag. Didn't clean up the other one though, which is very surprising. So Hot and Cold gonna keep his life, and Diffuser going to have the remaining DZ members, well, at least one of them. Rotate to pick him up. Gonna have a nicely placed Nitro Cell and a down from Bolo. Hyper almost getting away with his life, but he is Zofia. Actually, never mind. Doesn't even matter. Bolo with a heads-up play and game sense just shoots him through the floor.
A lot of people getting down, but not necessarily finished off in this round. Seen that transaction go through quite a few times already. Might come to a close now, though, as we're getting into these final seconds of the round. Down to a 3v2 TSM with full health on both of those players, mind you. Whereas Hot and Cold and Skies are both pretty heavily lit at this point, so they'll have to be a little bit careful about how they take their duels. Eclipse, the only one at full HP right now on DarkZero. Bolo, this is the dangerous part. Both Bolo and Chala are pretty heavily split up from each other, so if one goes down, the other one has to clutch. There's not really a whole lot of room for an immediate guaranteed refrag or anything like that. Bolo is going to fall, trying to get aggressive upstairs as well, but Eclipse gives himself away to Chala. That was the only full HP player, now going down to him. Chala just has the 1v2 to deal with, and 40 seconds left to bait out.
I'm very positive that Chala's SMG-11 is actually the golden gun from GoldenEye. It's impossible, the amount of kills that he's been getting with this dang thing at range. It's truly, truly incredible, but we're going to have to see if he can do it all over again. But all of that hype build-up for really no return. And Chala ends up getting killed by Skies. Skies pushes Tarps. Overall, great round from DZ once again. TSM, though, fighting back. I definitely like the play from Achieved upstairs as well. Instead of, fight or flight, he chose fight, hopped out the window, got some nice frags. And down the diffuser, I just would have liked to see him at least look to the right side. But again, that's just being very, very critical, especially when you're trying to get back into the bane and to secure your life. It just didn't last too much longer after that.
All right, so that creates the dead heat here now between the two teams, 3-3. Locked in a tie game at the moment. Remember, folks, it's 7 to win here, so we're looking at, well, not a repeat of what we just had in the last half. One team needs to come out in superior fashion with 4 more rounds here in order to close out map number 1. Otherwise, we could just be looking at a repeat and some OT to determine the winner of what is only our very first map in what should be a pretty exciting series. Just off the maps alone, we got Villa, and then we got the 2 new ones into the pool as well. We ended up with both Oregon along with having a map on Theme Park. I believe Theme Park is second, so that'll be the one we'll head on to next.
Yeah, you always know it's going to be a good day when you wake up excited to cast the match for the day, right? Like right when you wake up, you don't think about coffee, you don't think about anything else. You think about TSM versus DarkZero. This is something we've been waiting on all day, I'm pretty sure, especially with the match that we just had before this. SSG losing 2-0 to Oxygen. Such an impressive game by them as well. Overall, so far, an amazing day of Rainbow Six Siege. So let's jump into round 7 now as TSM starts their first offensive round here. I was going to say offensive assault, but they're just now getting to the map, John. Not too much of an assault just yet, just more of a walking simulator.
More of a poke at this point than an assault. Just trying to see what's on the inside, really. So we'll have TSM doing that poking work here, trying to figure out exactly where the defenses are set up. A lot of drone work going through Astro at the moment here to clear that out for our attackers and allow them to take master side. Got Eclipse way downstairs on the Valkyrie, so I'm pretty curious as to what he's going to try and line himself up for in the late round. This is a job that's normally performed by a Pulse, for obvious reasons, as to what the heartbeat scanner can accomplish from down there. But other than that, the basement is not used as much other than a rotation point. But as you just saw, you may have not seen it, actually. That player is going to get droned out of position. Eclipse just got spotted by one of TSM's drones, so he's going to be forced to make a move here and get out or try to kill a player before he retreats back to the site.
I mean, either that or you can basically just sit down there, I guess. There's so many staircases, and TSM would have to send multiple people down there to kill you. So it's up to Eclipse to waste a lot of time, but it seems that TSM isn't going to play with it too much. They'd much rather focus on the main objective, which is getting that diffuser down. They've already got flank watch set up as well. You guys can see is Chala's already used one of his air jabs, more likely inside of Astronomy on the staircase. Merc's already worked his way towards top red, so TSM doing a very good job of clearing this top floor. The roam clear working wonders. Not very much damage dealt, though, just yet. Looks like, for the time being at least, that TSM really wants to try and put this diffuser down on the vault door here.
See Merc looking to take out some of the additional reinforcements on the reinforced wall as that electric log, I think, goes down. I don't know if another one already got deployed or not, but I can still see the electrical effects on the door. So might have actually been extending from around the corner if it reached over there. I don't know if he put that one specifically right there, but I wouldn't reach out to the other one if it was the case. So another charge goes in. This time it's going to get eaten up, however, by my disc. So that keeps it out of harm's way and, more importantly, prevents the attackers from opening up that wall.
Well, only 35 seconds now for this master clear and eventual B take to work out for TSM. Lots of pre-fires here from TSM, but nothing landing just yet. And Merc, seeing that no one's home, tries to make an adjustment. Now we're sticking that diffuser down. Pay attention to Chala's area of the HUD to see when that's going to be secured, but it's not. Nitro cells soon for DZ. Blow up 2 TSM members as we're actually going to have Merc work his way back up red, but now is the only member of TSM alive with only 5 seconds remaining. Not much time on the clock, and quite a few members still up for DarkZero. DZ kills Merc, takes round 7, does so off of the back of some very nicely placed nitro cells.
Merc with like a good read on the situation. Valiant attempt, of course, given how futile it was. You even had the pre-fire lined up properly for the player sitting on the inside of Study. Just didn't have the timing down right. So we'll end up seeing DZ come out on top of that one and now take the lead away from TSM for the first time in this matchup, starting to run up those 7 rounds. And DZ are going to follow the more traditional site rotation that we expect teams to go along here, as they'll go to Trophy and Statuary for their second site.
All right, well, we're still going to have Chala on that Nomad. Didn't work out too well for him on flank watch or anything of the sort, really. When it came down to for that last round, especially for TSM, was truly just dying on site. It's not that they did anything wrong. It was just some very good utility use from DarkZero. TSM did take a bit to eventually attempt to put a diffuser down, and they didn't attempt to bait out any utility either. There was truly only one smoke used, and it was used past the maps table inside of planes. So all the rest of that utility for DarkZero is still at disposal. I'm actually very surprised that TSM tried to force it so early on with all of that utility still alive. But again, that's why we play these games, because we don't know exactly how they're going to go. But for the time now, DarkZero, for the first time, claiming the lead.
Yeah, I'm going to want to look back on that round later, specifically just because I want to figure out what happened with the electric claws on the study wall. They put a pretty big amount of effort into trying to take that out, and either didn't get blown up on the first Ash charge or just outright missed for some reason, so I'm very curious to know where it was actually positioned at there.
Overall, a very weird round, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, something I definitely got to look back on and find that sort of information later. That's one for like Reddit to dig into or whatever.
The Reddit analysts are going to be coming out on that one, 100%.
Yeah, the people who can see that tiny little device sitting there from the top-down view.
Time to get the bifocals out, put some work in.
Yeah, just look at it with binoculars or something.
Oh, man. Well, round 8 now started as TSM enters the field. We're about 30 seconds in here, folks. And in case you guys were wondering about that question that we asked you guys earlier before the game started, how many Bolo charms are each team going to be running and who's going to be running the most? Right now, it seems like everyone on each team is running the Bolo charm. I don't think I've seen a gun that doesn't have the Bolo charm, and now I feel just, completely out of the loop because I don't have the Bolo charm. And, you know, maybe I just need to go throw my money at, you know, Bolo, I guess.
The good news is it's pretty easy to get
Yeah,
one, so.
yeah, pretty easy. I heard that you just, you know, you can use your Twitch Prime too. Do you know that? It's free.
Are we just shilling for Bolo subs?
I mean, when does Bolo play? More like when do you get a Bolo charm, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
just use your mother's Twitch Prime. That's all you got to do.
All right, guys. Well, 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock here now. About half the round having gone by. TSM, of course, the one trying to work their way into the upstairs site. Still trying to isolate out a couple members of DarkZero here, but unsuccessful in that. Bolo specifically doing a bit of gadget hunting on his own. Those metal bars always being very pesky, of course, and getting in the way. This time it looks like he was successful on knocking out the electric claws, so the wall is going to be open, at least with one panel of an X-Kairos here, as they try to swing past that for themselves. But still going to be some time before we see the execute come in. You can see quite a few members of TSM are still downstairs, out of position to attack this site. So it's going to be a little bit more time before they're really ready to try anything here.
Clear out downstairs, as you were saying. Still have the Ella to worry about, and that's Houghton playing on the Astro stairs. Scorpion in hand as well. It seems like he's actually set up for them to push him. He wants them to push the bottom of the staircase. You guys can see the Grismont above him, but it's a frag grenade out. Frag grenade just a little off on the timing. Stun grenade pours in from upstairs now, and Houghton's going to get full stun. Marked out now. Another frag grenade out here, but he's been what seems to be Grismont mined from somewhere. I don't know exactly how that ended up working out, but Merc aggressively takes Astro, doesn't even worry about the Scorpion at all, actually makes it away with quite a bit of HP as well. Well, now it's all up to Mint to be able to hold down Astronomy, sees the toesies of him, he's got to hunt him down. Merc works it out with the Ash, the 3-speed working out for him, and it's TSM all over this site now. DZ's fall off. Hyper and Eclipse still alive. Eclipse inside a connector, but Achieve makes quick work of that, and TSM with some quick work overall in round 8.
Neither team controls this map just yet, as we're going to remain incredibly close on the scoreline. A successful last moment attack here from TSM, spending so much of that round gathering intel, only to aggressively push themselves into Astro, as you had mentioned, successfully in being able to take that control away. DZ did not seem ready for that, and as a result get run over on the execute, and that brings TSM back into the fold now at a tied 4-4 once again.
The last thing that I think anyone's going to do inside of professional Siege is, hey guys, listen, we're going to just kill the guy on Astro stairs and just force our way into Astro. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to walk in, we're going to stun in, and we're just going to kill everybody. But that's kind of what TSM did. That was basically it. I mean, they cleared out downstairs, made sure that there was no roam game going on with a pulse or anything like that to try and stop a plant, and then just aggressively take Master and Astro in almost the same time. But overall, again, a great round from TSM, and I like how they played it. They didn't need too much of the map in order to make it happen. When we saw DarkZero attack that site, they went for that south to north clear, which didn't work out too well for them. It delayed quite a bit of time as well and made it just a little bit more difficult for DarkZero to make any adjustments, because once that timer gets low, you really only have time for truly one attempt to go somewhere else. After that, you really only have about 30 to 20 seconds remaining, and things get more difficult, obviously, the lower that timer is.
Well, speaking of time getting low, the prep phase time here for DZ is about to run out, so we'll have TSM spawning out onto the map. DarkZero bringing a lot of the same notes here for their kitchen defense, as we saw TSM do on their own side. Let's take a look and see what the defensive setup is going to look like over the next couple of seconds here. Still a lot of players spread out off-site, of course, doing those final little preparations, as it often does extend beyond just those measly couple seconds you have for the actual prep phase.
Well, we do have the bane of every Pulse's existence on the offense, and it's Bolo with IQ. And no, it's not just because of the G8A1, folks. IQ actually has utility, believe it or not. And that utility allows you to see electronics through walls and floors, and can definitely help you out when there's a pulse in play. If there's any soft destruction above somebody like Hot and Cold currently sitting inside of dining, you can shoot them through it. If you have that sensor out, you're able to see the cardiac sensor when it's on. So could see some pretty interesting kills here if that actually ends up happening.
Houghton's going to be able to line up at least 2 players for himself that he spots. Those are the more typical pushes, though, so it shouldn't be any massive surprise what they're currently doing, at least not the Hot and Cold and the rest of DZ, with those 2 just taking upstairs master control, or at least attempting to. As far as the rest of the team is concerned, the options are a little bit more open, but pretty heavily focused towards Astro here, as we can see The drone having moved in, already forcing a player out and back downstairs, but Mark is going to chase that player down anyway. Follows it up. It's Hyper. We've been talking about how they needed to hunt Hyper down in quite a few of these rounds in order to come out on top. The analysts are talking about it anyway, and it seems they quite literally do that at the beginning of this round.
Hotton's going to be kicking himself after that one, too. Just day late and dollar short on that call. But Achieve now lighting up the scoreboard for TSM. Hot and Cold does have the bead on him, but he's on concrete upstairs, so can't get him just yet. Sky is finally with the first kill for DZ inside of this round. He's going to hightail it all the way to the south end of the map, so it's going to be a late rotation here for him to try and get a flank off to hopefully help TSM out with this vertical play.
Got a little bit more time still remaining on the clock with TSM having the +1 man advantage. They're going to use it, at least on a few of their players' circumstances, to try and do a bit more droning before they commit themselves to what could be the final execute. A lot of top-down play trying to be worked as well, primarily by the Sledge on Achieved. We saw him doing this earlier. Was able to line up a kill with it, but now it's going to get a little bit more difficult. The numbers have dropped here for DarkZero, and they're not hiding in obvious places anymore. It won't be as apparent, although an opportunity is going to present itself here, and Achieve will thrive in it. It's his second going on the round as he eliminates Hot and Cold, giving it all just onto Mint and Skies. A good play from Mint and good timing as well to swing out. Skies will do the same against Achieve. Bolo puts an end to Mint, though, and now everything falls to Skies, who will get double peaked by the last two on TSM to close out round number 9.
Great round from TSM overall. Really, really like their upstairs clear. Worked out for them beautifully, and their patience, once again. I think that is the main thing that we've been talking about throughout this entire Villa game, is that both these teams have been very patient about their clears and when they're actually going to execute site. We've only seen really one botched execute when it really comes down to it. But for TSM, they're just waiting out in laundry, seeing where these players are going to rotate, especially with that pressure from upstairs. Works out so well for them. So now TSM back in the lead. DZ trying to find their footing on defense, but they're going to have to do it pretty fast. It's 5-4 now, one more round, and we have map point for TSM.
TSM once again back in control, back in the driver's seat for this matchup. Will they be able to keep it that way, though? That's the question, and this is one of the harder sites they've yet had to go up against so far on their attack. DarkZero are back on it once again after a successful defense. A few rounds back, it's been unlocked for play, and they're going to jump right back on top of it here. Reinforcements looking pretty much to be everything that we expect them to be. Once again, this site is pretty much usually played the same way in terms of reinforcements and utility setup, that of course being dependent on the operators. Nothing out of the ordinary here, especially considering the success that DZ had with their setup previously, especially with regards to the Cade play.
5 seconds remaining.
All right, well, now as we finish up the prep phase, DarkZero back upstairs, as we were saying. We're going to have Hyper back on that Kaid. So we'll see how that works out for him now. And what was the specific wall that you were talking about last time that wasn't able to be held down to? What was it, the study wall?
It was this one. Yeah, it was that study and aviation wall that there was an electric wall on, and I'm pretty sure they put an ash charge like right on the wall, and as far as I can tell, it didn't get absorbed by my disc, so it should have worked, but maybe it was like just out of range of being able to hit the claw or something like that.
Those things are very finicky sometimes. Have you ever shot one of those at like an evil eye, like directly below it? It drills into the wall, blows up, and just doesn't kill the evil eye. I've had that happen so many times. And also, if you guys are an Ash main like me, because I hate myself, then you'll know that sometimes they just fall off the evil eyes. If you shoot it directly at the evil eye actually just bounces it off and throws it across the room. It's
To be fair, though, there's also like some really tricky spots you can put electric balls in and like kind of like hide them. Like there's like some maps where you can throw it like the next floor down or something like that if you want to get like really crazy and ranked and just try to throw people off. So I was curious if they had tried to do something like that at first.
Yeah, there's so many of those.
I highly doubt it.
Probably, especially for this site, right? I don't think there's any very sneaky spot to put it. We saw one earlier on Oregon actually inside a freezer where you put it below like the AC unit and it gets the hatch, but there's literally no way to kill it unless you have an EMP. And as we've seen with all these stasher bans, that's not going to happen anytime soon. So burning through utility at the top of main stairs, though, is TSM. Minute 30. So we've wasted quite a bit of time with the banter back and forth, but completely fine now as the action's finally starting. Shield on the main stairs as well. TSM trying to figure out this jigsaw puzzle, but DZ seems to have a pretty good grip on it. We do still have Skies playing here as well, and he still has some of my discs getting collected here, as it seems that they finally burnt through most of them. Stun grenades going off. It seems that all the ADSs are gone, but Merc finally with a kill to open up the round just a touch, and that's Skies as well on the main stairs. TSM in full control of the front area of the map now.
Guys down, and that eliminates the additional My Disc, which may be able to be deployed late round here, so hopefully a little bit less absorption the TSM will have to deal with when dumping their utility. The good news, though, is that they don't really have much utility left anyway, so that wasn't going to be much of a concern to deal with. Just a single frag grenade still sitting on Achieved. For the most part, Skies had already done his job from a utility perspective at that point. This time we will see a wall get opened up by an ex-Kairos charge. Mark will find the second now for his team as he's able to eliminate mid. He's looking for one more. Might be looking in the wrong spot for that specific tool, but either way, he's not going to be looking anywhere anymore as Hyper sends him flying up to the sky. Bolo will pick up another Eclipse to immediately trade it back out, puts us down into a 3v2, and Houghton is going to keep things rolling to bring this round back under control for DarkZero. They brought it down on even terms. First attempt to start planning. The diffuser was made there by Geo, but he gets off it, and it's a smart move too, as it allows him to take out Eclipse just down on a Houghton at this point. Houghton spots the plant. Now with 7 seconds left, we have to see TSM get aggressive. Chala has to try and move in for this kill, and he gets it! Another clutch from Chala, the third 1vx in this map alone, won by him. Beautifully done, and it gives TSM yet another round.
So I looked up clutch in the dictionary real quick, and there's just a picture of Chala there. I don't know if that's supposed to be there. I don't know. I don't really know. But what I can tell you is the guy's playing lights out again. He's only 6-1-5, guys. 6-1-5. That does not tell anything of the state of Chala and how well he's played throughout this entire game. And that right there, folks, is why you should not be a KDA player. Don't be a KDA player. Just get those impactful rounds and do crazy stuff like Chala. Be like Chala, chat. Be like Chala.
That's actually the first 1vx that he actually finished off too, as the other two were one on timer. So very well played one. Obviously, he has to win it with the kill there.
He's like Batman. He only kills if he has to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he just breaks their back and makes it to where they can't walk for the rest of their life.
Otherwise, he just puts them very, 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 very close.
Yes, exactly.
It seems based on the way the movie's depicted.
Yeah, but he doesn't do it physically. He does it to your morale. It's like, you couldn't even find me to kill me.
All right, folks. Well, we're approaching what could be the very final round, at least for this first map between TSM and DarkZero. TSM seems to have gotten great control, though it was very, very close. So DarkZero feel the confidence to go back into Aviation and Games one more time. Setup should look pretty similar here as well. I'm pretty sure they've got the same exact operator lineup. Kado Amai still going to be your go-tos as far as utility is concerned. This guy's going to be putting himself here on main stair with support from the ADS, however. And there's going to be that shield coming down from mid. Just a little bit late to the party.
I love this setup from DarkZero on the front stairs with the ADSs, the Wamai, all of the shields. It's really well done because usually the area over there that's very difficult to worry about when you're playing main stairs is the actual staircase. You can gunfight study, and mainly you only have to worry about the very long angle in towards study from the top of main when you peek out. But when it comes down to playing that shield by yourself, it's that pressure from downstairs that kills you, as we were talking about before. So placing that shield there with ADSs and making them not only burn the shield at the top of the staircase, but also worrying about another person playing the shield on the mid-level of the staircase, just changes up the entire way on how you have to attack that area of the map.
So once again, time ticking down, TSM on the attack. Very early days on the round for them, so you can see not a huge amount of control going their way just yet, but they have already moved in. So it looks like Master, Charles, I believe, is on the inside right there. And he did have two other teammates with him, but they're not necessary to be there anymore. So they're going to start working their way over towards Study, probably for the push in from there. No, not necessarily. Sorry, just to correct myself here real quick. Geo looked like he was going to head that direction, but he drops down inside the connector window and is still supporting on drone to help players like Bolo out, who are pushing top red right now. Still have Eclipse down there right by Mudroom, too. We've already seen him try to lurk this a few times and pick up kills on the execute, although for the most part, he has been countered out here, especially if he's going to continue to make noise and make his presence kind of obvious to the attackers.
Well, TSM, plenty of patience here. A swing and a miss with the sledgehammer because the wall's already open for Achieved, but not going to matter too much. TSM across the board, though, very, very impactful. Quite a few kills. Achieved in Merc, especially at the top of the pile here. And again, we always talk about that three-headed monster with TSM being Achieved, Bolo, and Merc, and all three of them finding kills inside of that frag department here. So looks like for TSM, they want to go for this vault door plan again. Last time wasn't too successful. Let's see if it is this time, though. X-Kairos down on the 90 panel here for TSM. Trying to get some lines of sight in towards the bar area. No kills just yet either, all except for Merc, as he was trying to get that entry frag at the top of red earlier on.
30 seconds remaining. However, time's going to force the issue soon for TSM here. And players on DarkZero should be very much aware of that too. Achieved finally picks up the first kill for his team on this round. He's going to be able to eliminate Hot and Cold. Another battle at 90 also goes TSM's way as Geo picks up Skies. Have the rotate working its way up through main stairs, though this could cause some problems for them. Hyper is going to put a stop to this push, not only just on the outside by 90, but also swings back to the inside. Eclipse completes the flank, and Hyper picks one up on the Nitro Cell to end the round. A great quick retake from DarkZero, and Eclipse finally finding some impact there on that late round flank.
Well, that was one of the most erratic rounds I've seen in a little while. So lots of utility going down there in the last 5 seconds, but it all went DZ's way. Some good gunfights, nice utility usage as well. But overall, TSM, a pretty good offense. But again, it seems that when it comes down to this vault door plant, it's not going to work for them. DZ's prepared for it. They have good intel on it, especially with that Vault Cam that we saw a little bit earlier on inside of Red. They knew where TSM was headed towards the entire time. Granted, they did try to move towards the main stairs a little later on, but we saw that nice rotate come out from DZ to put a stop to that as well. So DZ trying to force overtime here on Villa. And remember, this is their map. So if they end up losing this, we're headed to Theme, which was TSM's choice.
Just one round away from victory, but their opponents 1 round away from tying us up into an OT situation and forcing those 3 additional rounds. Back into trophy statuary once again for DarkZero's final regulation defense. We'll take a look and see if anything differs. Probably not. Again, like I said, this site's defensive play for the most part is pretty straightforward at this point. There's no reason to expect anything different out of DarkZero. That seems to indeed be the case. Has been setting up these last couple rotation holes, more than likely for Skies to play on the insert. Yeah, Skies or whoever it's going to be. I believe the Mai's just doing it on the inside here. So that
I bet you'd never guess how they're going to set this closet up. Ever. There's no way that they're going to dedicate a bunch of utility in there. There's no way. Absolutely not. It's not going to be the same as TSM. TSM threw every ADS under the sun in there, but it doesn't even look like we're going to have one.
Yeah, there's nothing in there, so he's not saying.
I've been trolled. I've been bamboozled.
They put Skies in there just for us, right? Just so we could talk him up, and then he just dips out 20 seconds.
Skies is gonna DM me later and just be like, "Get trolled, idiot." Lamau XD.
We've got a good lineup here by Skies in the meanwhile, but it looks like he did get spotted out by a drone, so he has to abandon that position on main master door and start rotating back into a safer position. A lot of players from TSM going to start to work their way in over towards the dining area and see if they can take control from downstairs. I'm curious if they're going to try and work some bottom-up play, maybe from that point forward, but the rest of the team still following through with that usual master push that you almost always see attacking teams try to get control of here.
Yeah, but as we've grown to know as well, since we don't have Thatcher or Maverick, this wall is going to be very difficult. The only way to get it is, well, doing exactly what Bolo's doing. Go downstairs as IQ or somebody that can possibly have some soft destruction in order to see and try and get the wall, but it's not going to matter anymore as Hyper finds a nice angle and puts a bullet into the brain of Bolo. So no more IQ, no more G8A1 specifically, but also no more utility to try and help them find that Electro Claw.
Half the round gone. DarkZero with a pretty solid hold so far, and no reason for them to panic. They haven't really been pressured out of any sort of situations, except for Skies, but Skies has been pretty mobile this entire round. So I'm not really going to be too big on faulting him for having to give up Master Closet at the beginning of the round there, as he's been able to delay quite effectively from his current position. Now trying to stem the tide against that main Master door. He does take some pretty hefty damage, down to about 75 HP, although I believe he returned a pretty significant amount as well onto Geo. He's now finally starting to open up that main wall leading into Statue.
Well, it's going to take some intuition for TSM to win this. They are going to have one breach here opened by those set of Exkyros, so they'll have a hop hole and be able to at least jump over that, but it's more than likely just going to be used for vision. Hyper with another kill through vertical play. Oh my goodness. Making it work at almost every single angle. Hot and Cold shifting back to the Astro Stairs that we saw him playing earlier on. Last time TSM handled this pretty well, but I don't think it's going to go well this time. But Achieve not even aiming the frag grenade for the bottom of Astro. He aimed it for the actual Astro office and is able to get a kill through that means instead. but immediately refragged after. DarkZero in the lead by 2 right now as we get down to 17 seconds. A nice kill from Chala's. He's now the entry fragger for TSM. They need to get this diffuser down. That too in Chala's hands. 10 seconds remain as Geo barrels into Trophy, but nice shots from both remaining DZ members inside of the Trophy area, and DarkZero claims round 12 to push us to overtime.
Chala giving us a little bit of hope towards the end of the round there, but DarkZero immediately shutting it down as the last execute works its way onto the site. Overtime is what we're going to jump into now. Sides look like they're going to stay the same, so TSM will get the first attacking round on OT here. DZ gets the first defensive round. And once again, for anybody who might be a little bit newer to Rainbow Six, all those site unlocks that we talked about previously, they're now gone. Everything's been reset going into OT, so all options are available to the defenders once again.
Yeah, and most importantly, inside of overtime rounds, we switch sides every single round. So if you guys are a long-time viewer, then you remember that all the way back from year 1 and year 2 of Pro League, where we just, switch back and forth after every single round, offense to defense, defense to offense. So that's how these last rounds go. And as John was saying, it is a best of 3 rounds. So whoever's the first to pick up 2 rounds will win the map. DarkZero starting on defense.
And once again, same overall strategy going to be employed here for the aviation and games defense. Go right back to that site. That's probably been one of the more successful ones for DarkZero. They've only lost it once, if memory serves me correctly. TSM got past it on that one clutch, and they might have won it twice. TSM might have won it twice, so I might be remembering that one wrong, but that's one to look back on a little bit later. Either way, DarkZero feels pretty confident on this site, and with regards to their match play, that's what matters to them. So they're going to jump onto this for one more round.
You can't blame them either. TSM going about things in very, very similar fashion for the 2 rounds that they ended up attacking this site. Both going for that vault door plant, and we'll see if maybe third time's the charm. It seems that they're starting in the same area, but again, very early inside of the round, and as we were talking about before, a lot of teams inside of Rainbow Six are separated in skill by their mid-round adjustments. So let's see if TSM drones this out and attempts something differently, or if this is just the best means to attempt to go for this when you really can't get a wall open.
See Hyper kind of optimizing those electric claws there. Already was able to trip up TSM, seemingly anyway, with one of them a few rounds back. He's going to do that again. We got Eclipse downstairs once more, hiding in a different spot this time, trying to make it a little bit less obvious that the drone swings through to try and isolate him out. He has been a little bit more successful with this roam down in the basement, despite the fact that TSM is very well aware of it. Finally caught some impact on that last round of regulation, and is going to carry it through here into the first round of OT.
Okay, well, all signs point towards what we were seeing before, John. Merc, top red, IQ in tandem being played by Bolo. Let's see if it works into their favor this time. Last time, Merc pressured just a little bit too hard into planes and ended up losing his life for it. It's like Merc is going to misdrone Eclipse downstairs as well. This is an adjustment from DarkZero. Eclipse was downstairs the last time, but he was droned out pretty early, and it seems that TSM has missed a step inside of their drone game. This could be the thorn in their side that ends up getting infected. We'll see how this transpires.
Half the round gone away now. TSM still looking for the clean option to get themselves into the site. Merc just starting to drone his way up on top of main stairs. For the rest of the team, seems very, very well prepared for this top red push being started by Merc and Bolo. Come on, they're leaving themselves all of this extra time. Eclipse finding his impact once again as he scurries away back to the basement. Sends Merc flying to the ceiling along the way. So get the first kill of the round with that Nitro Cell.
And here we go again with DarkZero. As you guys can see, they've backed completely off of the B site. They're giving this up. And you can see Mint's prone on the ground as well because he wants to be able to put those toxic babes onto that door to then clip through. Amazing setup from DarkZero. Again, let's see if TSM can get these entry frags that they need in order to stop this from happening 3 times in a row. 37 seconds remain. TSM does now have 90 control, but they still have someone to worry about. It's Skies at the end of the hallway playing one of these deployable shields. He does have a rotate into sight as well, so he has safe haven here. We've already had some adjustments from TSM, specifically Achieved, who actually ends up getting a kill through the floor onto Eclipse. That was a roamer all the way downstairs, assuming that he was trying to work his way back towards site. But now here comes the execute from TSM. They stack shelves on the long angle here for 90, trying to work their way through the rotate first shots, but no, ends up getting by. Switches to the SMG-11, claims the man behind bar. One's down, another nice shot here from Achieved, but TSM ends up winning it at the very last second. What a round from them. The guns finally come come alive, and they stave off the defense.
Gio, a last-second save, quite literally in these circumstances, as he rushes himself in, gets into that back entrance of Aviation, and is able to pick up the last kill against the Cade, who was just hugging that central wall to try and avoid a fight by any means necessary. Missed the audio cues, or just couldn't hear them, I assume, of Gio pushing in at that last second there, and as a result, gets taken out. 7-6 with TSM back in control once again, but can they close it out? They've been in a similar position once already, and were unable to do it, although I don't think they were on the defensive side. That's the big change-up now, as Stokes had mentioned previously, we're seeing the team switch every single round right now due to OT.
Well, TSM seeming very confident in their living room library setup. Last time I saw them go here, DZ attacked upstairs into the site that we were actually just playing. That's the room directly above living room. So we'll see if they go about things in a very similar fashion. TSM delayed a lot of time the last time as well, so I want to see DarkZero attempt to speed this up, whether it be off of the info game or what have you, we'll have to see. But for the time being, it seems that TSM are in a pretty good spot to be able to win Villa. Overall, though, the DarkZero squad showing up almost every single member, well, actually all of them, but there is one outlier here, folks, and if you guys look to the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see what I'm talking about. Hyper almost has 20 kills right now. He's 18, 2, and 9. The only man that's close to him in the entire game is on the opposite team, and that's Achieved, who we've been seeing lighten up the scoreboard as well. So we're getting exactly what we paid for between these two. We expected a gauntlet, and that's exactly what we've gotten here, John. We're almost going to need every single round to decide who's going to win here on Villa.
Yeah, Achieved really finding his footing within the last 5 or 6 rounds, I would say, coming alive and making massive contributions to the TSM side, especially on the attacking end of the regulation halves that we played out already. We're not in regulation anymore, we're in overtime. At the moment, TSM have done a fantastic job of picking up the first round. Can they do it on defense and close out the map? The odds, as you had brought up, are already pretty good because of this site and because of how long it took DarkZero, not even to get down to the site that they're actually attacking, but just to clear out upstairs here in Aviation and Games. So much time was wasted on the upstairs clear in the last attempt for TSM to defend that downstairs site that the remaining member of DarkZero didn't really have any time to go for the clutch at that point.
Truly, if TSM wins this, I feel it's just because they have the actual bolo and not just the charm on their team. You know, that's what I feel.
Look, look, someone doesn't have one. Eclipse doesn't have the charm on right now.
It's Eclipse's fault then. We just
Eclipse has the. I think he's got the SI charm on. If I
we just blame Eclipse. Simple as that. Simple as that.
I was looking for one like this whole game, and that was the first time I saw one.
Well,
I'm more impressed that everybody changed all their skins over that quickly.
Well, we already have yet another frag from Hyper. He's now at 19 kills, folks. Another great entry for him, and that's on to achieve the top fragger for TSM as well. Still have top control here, though. Quite a few bodies to still work their way through. They need to get the intel for Hyper. You can't just walk blindly in here. A lot of these frags happen because of that intel, but he wasn't ready for it, even though the ping was there. Gio, with a wide swing, takes down Hyper, and they continuously hold on upstairs. Chala, with a nicely placed nitro cell, bags himself a kill as well. So all of a sudden, onto equal footing after all of that transpiring. So Chala, still playing off downstairs, been so magical with the SMG-11 throughout this entire series so far, but this is where it's going to come down to being the most important. First map here still once again, but this is DZ's pick. TSM wants to take this away from them and force them to play on their map being Theme Park. We could go to a possibility of all max rounds here as the gunfights ensue, but Houghton finally works his way into living room. Mint follows in as well. 1v3 now, all left up to Geometrics. Places a nitro cell upstairs, going to blow it later, but they've already got intel on the drone. They know he's working down red. And with very low AP, this is going to almost be unwinnable. Doesn't even matter. DarkZero, and specifically Mint, with a nice cross from Art Studio, finds their offensive round and pushes us to the max round we can possibly find here on Villa.
DarkZero with some good mid-round adjustment there to focus the emphasis on the take much more on the site itself, and specifically with eliminating Chala. Despite that, though, Chala had some really great situational awareness. Got to give a call out probably to his team on that one for some of the calls that he was getting, as that saved his life more than one time in that situation, and he was able to extend that relatively lengthy duel that he was in for probably a good like 20 to 30 seconds longer than it should have gone. We saw the nade get chucked into the window outside. I think it was Skies that threw that. Probably should have killed him, but he had rotated about 5 seconds before that nade was even thrown. He even got into the position just on the red carpet hallway, just by that doorway there, and was nearly able to pick up another kill against one of his opponents pushing in from there too. Despite that, still ended up going down without a kill, but I just wanted to highlight that really good movement and positioning that he had throughout that entire exchange.
Well, as we were breaking that down, had some 6 picks roll in, very, very important ones as well. Cold switching off of the Valkyrie towards the Clash. I like the 6 pick a lot, John. I'll tell you exactly why. The only reason that TSM was able to win that last round on this site was their ability to rotate and do it quickly. Clash puts a lot of wrenches, multiple wrenches, in fact, into that entire game plan. She slows you down to almost a halt. She's very annoying to deal with, and they don't have any of her counters on the offense. The only person that can really attempt to mess with her would probably be Achieved with some frag grenades, but as we can see by the defense, we have quite a utility to catch those. Otherwise, we're looking at those air jabs to possibly knock her down. But that other 6 pick being Merc, 6 picking off of Ashe to Ashe. And I think that's way more impactful than the Clash overall, bringing that Ashe, making sure that you have those breaching rounds, and specifically the R4C. I mean, they've taken away everything, including the ACOG from it, but it's still the best gun of the game. You can't argue it. And personally, the best fraggers running it. I mean, come on.
Merc working his way in relatively quickly here towards Master. Going to be over on the other side of the map, though, is where the site is, so not much to worry about on this side of the map, seeing as it's pretty detached from all the action. TSM will take very easy control of Master, statue and trophy side, and will now have the time they need to focus up on attacking site on the other end. It's once again Aviation and Games. They'll have to try and work their way past. DarkZero's had a very good setup for this, and for the most part, it's worked out well for them to pick up rounds on this site multiple times.
Well, as 1 minute has progressed throughout the round here, DarkZero still in a pretty good spot right here. We actually don't have the Clash playing inside of 90. That was the area that I was going to assume that he would play, but more than likely a better idea to play inside of site so he can rotate to either site that Houghton really needs. Currently on drones right now for the rest of his team, with Mint trying to get as much intel as possible. And again, we have a very, very, very similar take here from TSM, all except for Merc, who is back where Chala is now. Doesn't want to try and get exploded from the bottom of red again, and they've more than likely droned that out this time, or have some form of intel to make sure that that does not happen. Diffuser inside of benches right now as well, so see if they end up going for these gunfights earlier, if the plan is to try and get this diffuser down. We have Merc pick it up as well, and it seems that TSM wants to try and set up for the crosses now. They're trying to take study, that way no one can peek them from vault, but as we know, all of the walls are electrified. Don't know how exactly they're going to attempt to solve that. It seems that it's going to be Merc who has to deal with that, trying to burn any ADSs in the way right now. Bolo with the arm scanner out, attempting to get rid of the ADS. Breaching charge in. Does it get rid of the Electro Cloud? That's the most important thing. It does on the right-hand panel. Not on the left, though, but that's still going to work out in their favor as they now have a line of sight.
Line of sight, no hop-ins just yet. You don't really want that on that wall anyway, so TSM still getting what they need in order to work this take. 30 seconds left to do it, though. That's where problems are going to start to surface. And air jab looks like it's going to get triggered there. They try to work their way in for this DZ. Still stuck almost entirely over on Game's side, but that defense is working out. Hyper picking up 2, one from a Nitro Cell, one from the follow-up as Bolo tries to go in to reclaim the diffuser for himself. TSM are falling down, and they don't have any more time to try and trade these back out. Hyper with yet another one. The Clash just crunching them into study there. We'll see Achieved pick up one more. Geo will also find a frag, but there is no time remaining, folks. DarkZero are going to close it out on the timer on the final round of the map and take a victory at 8-7. They will take the lead right now in the series at 1-0, but they still need to claim one more map in order to take it. A good follow-up from them, though, in order to close things out with one more successful.
DarkZero showing up when it mattered most, specifically Hyper with 22 kills on the day. Amazing stuff from him. 22, 3, and 10 to be exact. What are you thinking about TSM and how we really didn't see any adjustments from them on those offensive takes?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it came down to that, right? Because towards the very end of the match, we ended up seeing TSM kind of fall into the strategy that DZ was working them for, basically falling into a playstyle that became very easy for DZ to read into, very easy for them to line up counters for, and ultimately shut it down. We saw TSM, I think, controlling the pace a lot better in the earlier rounds on their attacking side, and they kind of lost that flair as DZ managed to get a grasp of things and regain control for themselves, and that's ultimately, in my opinion, how they were able to come back and win this.
Yeah, overall, an amazing map from them, but we got Theme Park coming up next. Very excited to see that between these two teams, especially with DarkZero on the board. I want to see what they've got. So we'll be seeing you guys back here in just a little bit.
Welcome back, I'm Jackie Jing, and I am with Veli and Jesse, and DarkZero pushing it into overtime, winning 8-7. Man, honestly, to start, all I can say is Chala, Chala, Chala. Multiple clutches. Jesse, he is killing it on Anchor and Flank Watch.
Yeah, 100%. I thought Chala single-handedly won quite a few rounds, which is kind of funny because like his stat line wasn't ridiculously good. It was fine. But it wasn't like the highest in the server, but he definitely had a ton of rounds where it's just back to back to back, especially earlier on in the game, where it's just reliant on Chala winning these very clutch and intense situations. We're seeing a few of them here now in the highlights, and yeah, no, he really has popped off. That's 2 weeks in a row now where he has just contributed so much to his team. So I don't think anybody can doubt the Chala pickup any longer. He was a fantastic decision for TSM to bring him on, despite the fact that they lost this map. He had a really good performance.
And Jackie, you asked me earlier in the game, you said, hey, you know, Achieved is popping off, but you guys keep hyping up Chala, right? Well, I mean, there's a specific reason, and Jesse touched on it. Chala, by himself, as the last player alive, not just the reason why they won, but as the last player alive, gave them 3 wins. 3 wins in a 1vx scenario. Whether he won a gunfight or he stayed alive long enough to not die. That was fantastic. His 1v2 to start off the map was impressive. And man, Chala's a god. I love him. He is a perfect replacement on this team.
Yeah, and I think that we don't want to downplay Achieve. That's not to say Achieve got all these kills and they were worthless. But he's just a very consistent player, and he doesn't go for those flashy plays. He's usually not in the position to get that flashy stuff. So like Achieve is a rock on this team, and his consistency is a huge benefit, even if you don't notice as many individual rounds that are solely one off the back of him. But he's putting in a lot of work as well. Chala just, I think, had a little bit more flashier plays today.
Yeah, and TSM looking very, very good. But let's talk about DarkZero a little bit. We need to talk about Hyper. 22 kills, I mean, almost breaking the record, right? You both were talking about his clears. Jesse, I'm going to start with you on this one. I mean, he did the best in the team, hands down, in my opinion.
Yep, I mean, I talked about it in the pregame. In week number 1, Hyper was like the MVP out of all the players and all the teams. And he comes in this game and he looks like he's the MVP of this map too. I don't know, this guy's insane. I don't know what they're feeding him. I don't know, where he was made. I don't know what they've constructed him out of, but he is really turned up to 11 in this league, and he has no signs of showing of slowing down.
Hyper is a Greek freak. And there was a round where Jesse and I, we lost our minds. Hyper and Achieve, Hyper was roam clearing, and he literally sprinted all throughout that second floor and got a 2K. I do that in ranked, I am popped the moment I step foot into anywhere, right? So just the fact that Hyper was able to put matters into his own hands, especially whenever teams are trying to plant, not teams, but TSM were trying to plant in, what a plane is. I'm blanking right now. I apologize. Aviators, yes. The C4 kills were amazing, but it wasn't just a C4 kill. It was the kills that he got after that. He kept going. The man never stopped shooting, and he was connecting bullets to people's heads. So Hyper definitely a standout. His stats say it. I can't say more about him. The guy is a god.
Yeah, 22 kills, look at that. And I want to say that, like, it's crazy how many different situations he was contributing to the team, whether he's roam clearing and getting a bunch of kills that way, whether he's watching the person planting, whether he's denying the person planting with C4s or whatever you want from him. The Electroclaw plays as well. I don't know if people were catching it, but the Electroclaws being used in Aviator games were so smartly hidden. And it took 15 rounds for TSM to finally figure out where those were. You could see in round 15, Merc was looking around for, and then Bolo eventually with the IQ was able to spot out one of the 2. But like that's one where TSM are gonna have to go back in the VODs and figure out, okay, where were those Electroclaws? Because they could not open the Aviator game's walls, and that's why they lost a lot of those rounds attacking onto through study.
And talking about exceptional fraggers, really quickly, I do want to talk about Merc. He did very well on entry. He didn't do too well last week, and I heard both of you talking about he has such a huge impact when he does do well. Veli, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Let's be honest, and Merc knows it. He didn't play good at all last time we saw him on screen, right? He didn't play good at all. He didn't play as good as we know him to play, right?
Yeah.
So this time around, we saw flashes where, Merc did start off slowing around. But it's all about noticing the moments where Merc makes an impact. And the moment that he did, big difference. I love the aggression when he went up astronomy stairs. No drone in front of him. Yes, he had backup for the refrag. He was able to clap one guy going up the stairs, went into astronomy, threw 2 flashbangs, went in there, got another kill behind the desk, got another kill when someone tried to enter in sight. It's what he does once he gets the ball rolling. Yes, we talk about Hyper. Yes, we talk about Chala. But Merc is just so streaky whenever he catches a hot hand. He will peek everything with no intel at all and make the biggest play on the map.
All I could think of was NBA Jam, and he's on fire.
Merc gets on fire sometimes, you're right.
Anyway, though, I digress. Let's talk about our community poll results. The question was, which team will have the most Bolo charms? And apparently all of them had Bolo charms except Eclipse. But the results, TSM 66%, DarkZero 34%. So there you go. Our thrilling community poll results there. But next map, theme park. So really quickly, y'all, how do you think map 2 is going to go? Jesse, I'll start with you.
I don't know. I think Theme Park might favor DarkZero a little bit. Obviously, this is a map we saw at the tail end of Pro League Season 11, where in a narrow game, TSM lost it to SSG. But otherwise, Theme Park's a bit of an enigma. We don't know a ton about it, but I'm really excited to see what these teams bring to it.
Belly?
You saw the first map, right? I mean, I'm not alone in this. Like, you can't just predict anything, especially after seeing the first map. Theme Park is a newer map. These teams, we don't have a lot of VOD from them when it comes to this map. So I'm still going to hold on to my prediction strong. I feel like DarkZero, they're going to get the momentum from map 1. They're going to carry it over and try to win this one as well to put the game in bed as early as possible.
All right. Well, TSM versus DarkZero, map 2 coming up. We'll be right back.
And welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the U.S. division of the North American League. It is time to jump into map number 2 between TSM and DarkZero. Theme Park is the map, and what an epic one it should be. Stokes, what do you think we're going to see out of this one now that we've gotten a chance to watch the first map on Villa?
You're going to put me on the spot like that? Man, I have no idea what we're going to see.
It's like the same question I come back to
I know,
every
but
time.
I mean, come on, man. Like, between these two and what we just saw on Villa, I don't know what to expect on Theme Park. I mean, personally speaking, I've barely seen the map except for the, times it's been played inside of the professional play, and that's about it. Otherwise, I mean, what do I know for my ranked games? I mean, for this map in particular, I think DarkZero is going to attempt, at least, to push it to the limit of strategic, the strategic realm. I think that TSM's just going to do more of what TSM does. Those mid-round adjustments hopefully will work out a little bit better for them. When it came down to that last map, it was just very, very, very punishing when it came down to those Aviator games takes.
Yeah, well, we're going to get into the map now, but just to echo off your point about how little this map has been played, looking back on the history of it, DarkZero has 0 public play on this map, to my knowledge, at least based off the stats that I was able to grab. And as Jesse had mentioned in the previous segment, the only one that we had from TSM was a 5-7 loss against SSG towards the end of the very final Pro League season. So that would obviously be, even now, just a couple months back, and that's starting to kind of drift out of relevancy as well, since it's been quite a long time since that
please
map.
don't do it. Oh my god.
No, it's going to happen. Just the other order this time. We're not getting away from it.
Oh man. Well,
they just flipped the script a little bit.
They had us in the first half, I'm not going to lie. So Maverick and Thatcher banned out. Well, Mai going to be banned out as well. So not going to be worrying about Jaeger, rather take out the Wamai. That's actually a big question. I mean, They don't offer the same utility. He offers a deployable shield. Jaeger does not anymore. He used to, but doesn't anymore. So I'm going to assume that that's more than likely one of the reasons, as well as Mai being able to put those discs in very, very weird spots, whereas Jaeger just has to, put them down on a wall or on the floor, and he can't toss them. So Mai a little easier to play and continue to extend that delay because those discs do come over time. So a good ban, and then Mira to round it out, but that one was, and always will be, expected.
It makes sense that when you look at the last map of play with, how much Wamai instances there was, and specifically how many times the Wamai discs just ate the entire TSM, utility loadout over the course of a round. That happened on at least 2 or 3 different occasions for their attack. So I can completely understand why they've gone with the Wamai ban on this one, especially considering how well DZ has been able to position the utility, at least going off the Villa game.
All right. Well, as we warm things up here on Theme Park, folks, we haven't won a play day here in NA without it. So We're going to be seeing it once again. DarkZero headed downstairs to Armory. This is a site that everyone's been talking about since this map came out. Some people didn't think it was very balanced, but it seems to be working actually quite well. We've seen quite a few teams actually have some very good offenses on this map, but usually what we have been seeing is people taking over yellow and blowing that wall. That's usually the main area, but the last series that you and I casted on this, John, we actually saw them go more towards barrels and maintenance instead. We didn't see any yellow takes, actually. And something to notate, last time that you and I were here as well, is we had very similar bans, but it was more toward, it was trending more towards the defense just not bringing any wall denial. It doesn't seem like we're going to have that today because we have Eclipse and Skies both playing that. But we'll have to see what TSM has in the cards in order to get a wall open here.
Hyper's going to go right back to his cheeky door peeks here. He's ready to take a duel against anyone who would rappel up on Dragon Balcony here to start things off. Not going to get a chance at that, though, as he falls back before that opportunity presents itself, and is instead just going to open up the rotate towards yellow. Paul is actually going to kind of see that and hear it, too, so I'll have some idea as to what's going on above him.
All right, well, with that being said, top control still in the hands of DZ. Not very much time transpired, though, inside of the map, so still plenty of stuff for them to do. Quite a bit of utility as well brought on the offense for a site. Definitely like this Capital pickup. Going to break up the site just a touch, whether it be through vision or what have you. Firebolts can always come in handy as well. It seems that for right now, TSM wants to prioritize for the maintenance wall, but they still have to worry about Hyper upstairs on this Vigil. Able to move around unbeknownst to the enemy team with that backpack, but obviously those drones do get to see those little white bars and look like waves when he does have that on around them. He is going to escape out yellow. You guys saw that TSM had a drone there as well, so more than likely know that he fell off.
Minute and a half, as half the round has already gone by. You can see TSM lining up to try and start working to open up the maintenance wall here. But you can also see quite a bit of resistance that's going to be there. Oh, this could be a good Nitro Cell. It's thrown over the top, but both Geo and Achieved are able to dodge it by working their way out into Bottom Dragon instead, where the Clash is currently holding back the rest of TSM, trying to push their way past this Clash. Well, as we continue to see the round timer tick down a little bit more here, Mint going to continue to hold the line against a 4 stack of players from TSM sitting on the other side of that. They found no easy way past that just as of yet here. And we now sit with under 1 minute remaining on the clock. Wall is going to start to get popped open over here on the inside of Maintenance. Mint will shift his own position to put the CCE shield in the way of that and prevent a possible push from here. TSM, besides that, not looking at a whole lot of other options. They are being denied beautifully by DarkZero right now. TSM may have no choice but to just force the issue here over the next couple seconds if things don't start to change. 30 seconds now remaining here for TSM. They're going to start sending in the firebolts to force the Clash to finally turn onto an angle where they can shoot her, and all of a sudden, TSM show up with frags left and right. 3 pickups coming out of absolutely nowhere. Still needing to get onto the site to try and go for this plant. Hyper's in the way. He's going to start to turn things back around for his team. The plant attempt is going down in the corner in the meanwhile and will not be denied by one of the last players alive for DarkZero here. Houghton still trying to line one up, but he's going to get picked by Achieved, and now everything falls to the man, the myth, the legend. It's Hyper in the 1vx clutch situation. He's going to have to try and close this out entirely from a 1v4. Only finds the 1 kill. And getting even anything beyond this is just going to be such a difficult task to ask from Hyper here. He's got a good idea. He's found the player at top Dragon. Can he find the isolation for the kill, though? He starts getting spammed and is not going to be able to line it up. Chala takes him out. Ends yet another round for TSM as they get themselves up on the board first. Following this through into round number 2, it's certainly a great start for TSM, especially when you consider how much buildup led into that. Seemed like they actually weren't going to be able to get past it. The 2-man setup trying to block access to Dragon Doorway, and the breach that was made in Maintenance would have been enough to stem the tide and keep all of TSM held back, but it was not the case. All of a sudden, right around that 30-second marker on the round, they start picking up kills all over the place, and the site reveals itself, opens itself up. A valiant attempt from DarkZero to try and bring that back under control in the 2vx, but just not possible considering the circumstances that led up to that point. So that will be TSM on the board first with a 1-0 lead over DarkZero, and they'll continue to try and build that. DarkZero, in the meantime, are going to go right back onto the same site. It came very, very close, and they pretty much had it. So they're they're going to try this one more time and see if they're still able to come out with a victory here. Time. Still leave DZ with quite a bit to set up here. I don't imagine we're going to see them necessarily go for any huge change-ups stylistically here. They had done, like I said, everything up until those final moments had been done correctly, and that was purely off of almost entry power alone that TSM was able to work themselves in and eventually get control of the throne room down there. But DZ still setting things up upstairs, may try to scrim a little bit more for control here. Sky's initially working himself out there, but having to fall back pretty quickly due to a pre-placed drone, and he's just going to re-barricade out throne room here to finish off the job. TSM are spawned out, of course. They're now going to start to make their push. Hyper once again open up that same rotation hole to try and play into here if the need should arise for him to fall back from the showers here. Ebola, Chala, and Achieved all pushing in from Dragon's side, but all at different levels for the most part too. You've got Achieved up here. He's on the sledge. You can already tell what he's going to be doing, just popping those open. Bolo is starting to work downstairs for Gong control, if I was seeing it correctly played out before. And Merc already to the inside of maintenance, going to start popping out the soft wall at the top of the reinforcement. Just to get that out of the way, as he knew the defenders would probably do it anyway. It also opens up the capability for him or another teammate to try and throw some utility over the top of that and hopefully make opening this wall a tad bit easier. 2 minutes remain, though. Obviously not a whole lot going on just yet. And TSM now will start to set themselves up for the wall breach, I believe, and DZ will have to start rotating, because they're pretty out of position here, trying to defend there towards the barrel side.
Hopefully so. TSM with a very nice burn here inside of maintenance. Already got quite a bit of utility expended. Stun's going off now, and you can see DZ is set up for them to blow that wall. They have Skies playing inside of Split. Most of the DZ's members back onto site now. Mint still rocking the Clash pick here. See what he's able to do this time around. Prior to this, though, TSM with a very, very good take. Very similar fashion as well. DarkZero did not have a leg to stand on. Even upstairs, where the roam game seemed to be going pretty well, but Hyper was not able to make a large enough impact. That Clash play right now working out so very well, but quite a bit of damage dealt towards the Clash. Mint, though, still with quite a bit of HP, surprisingly enough. He walked through the fires and flames and walks out with about 50 HP remaining here. Frag grenade in, and a very well-placed frag grenade indeed from Achieved. It bounces into Split and kills off Skies. They need to set up for the plant now, though. They've shifted Eclipse, and he still has the shield in play. Mint with plenty of intel as well, as TSM has all gathered at the bottom of Dragon's Stairs. Still 5-man up, though, so pay attention to where that last member is as the execute goes off. Geo with quite a bit of damage taken out from Hot and across the way. Achieved now has to try and get that diffuser, but Hyper on the reverse end takes out Merc as he hops into barrels. Amazing play here from DarkZero. Very well timed as they are on a trickle feed into sight. Mint continuously slowing down the barrage of TSM members as DarkZero continues to shower lead in through the breach. Only one member remaining now, and a beautiful round for DarkZero here on Theme Park.
Man, I can't believe TSM, even like in those very final moments, were convinced that pushing in there was the correct strategy. That was their only option throughout that round, as they similarly to how things were starting to play out towards the end of Villa, they just play right into DarkZero's hand that time. Spent a good amount of time trying to take the Clash out of the picture once again, which is something that they were able to successfully do on the previous round, which often, which basically led to them being able to take the site. This time, it doesn't really end up working out. The Clash stays a factor the entire round, and the players end up just walking right into her trap to be taken out by any one of the members of DZ who is sitting there defending in the site.
Oh, Mint's going to make him wish that they banned this. He really, really is. He's 6 picks off of the Goyo to the Clash again. And if you guys don't know, Mint is the man when it comes to shields on this squad. There's a very well-known clip of him on Clubhouse's Blitz getting an ace. If you guys haven't seen that one before, make sure you go watch that. But not right now, as we still have quite a bit of game left to go on. I just want to see what DZ's idea is here for Mint and exactly where they think this push is going to come from. Is it going to be try and get the intel early, maybe to try and prevent Cafe? I'm assuming that TSM's probably going to start from the east, but again, this map really hasn't been too flushed out yet. There's still plenty of ideas to be found and to be had, so
10 seconds left before insertion.
Specifically in the top-down department, a lot of that vertical play, we really haven't seen too much of it yet. as people are still figuring out when the appropriate time to try and bring that into the picture is going to be. That's a point we brought up, I think, on the match that we casted yesterday, which also ended up going on to this map too. So 1-1, both teams very, very close to each other, as you had mentioned. Mint bringing the clash back into the picture once again. And if TSM brings a kind of one-dimensional push to the table where they're only focusing on 1 to 2 angles, we could very easily see the same situation that occurred last round unfold yet again. So let's take a look and see exactly what TSM are going to try to bring to the table. At the moment, it's heavily emphasized towards Cafe, but I wouldn't say that everyone is going there. I think they're keeping their options open besides that.
And that's something we've seen from TSM, is that they like to keep an open mind with their offenses, right? They'll drone out one section. If it doesn't look too good for them, then they're more than likely going to adjust, whether it be through rotations through the map or just say, hey, we really don't need this section. We'd much rather grab this little area to cut off rotates late for DarkZero and then adjust the rest of our troops over towards another section of the map. I like how TSM goes about gaining intel and making those adjustments as that intel comes in. But for now, it seems that they've completely missed out on where Skies is, and he has quite a few long angles here. Oh, goes for the drone when he could have went for the body on the other end of the door, but didn't work out for him, as now TSM has complete control of Arcade Balcony, including the rest of the area up here as well. They've walked all the way in through bunks, everything now in control for TSM, but do they know that just yet? Merc is actually on the outside of the building on that south rappel, ladies and gents, so he's actually hasn't worked his way in. And actually, I'm lying. I'm just going to remove everything that I'm saying right there. I'm going to back it off. And, you know, Merc's just he's just a better player, gamer than I am, I assume. So there you go. But it is going to be an attack from this way. Mint staving off TSM for the time being. Still plenty of drones to be used here. And as we saw, DarkZero not keeping any presence on yellow. Some very well-placed air jabs as well as TSM continues to trickle down on this site.
Attempt to breach open the wall from bunk, potentially going to be made here soon. The clash popping its ugly head out once again, though, and is going to start causing issues here for the TSM attack. See one pickup already from DarkZero's side. Opening onto the wall, though, presents some new opportunities. Like I said, this was the key factor, being able to potentially open up new angles for these guys to play under. And that's exactly what TSM has hopefully just done by opening up this wall. But here comes the clash yet again, being a force that cannot be stopped, that cannot be reckoned with, that cannot be moved unless you can get behind her and get some shots into her back there. So we see 30 seconds remaining onto the clock. TSM picking up 2 for themselves. Eclipse able to trade one back to bring it down into a 3 versus 3, but the most important kill has been found. They took out the clash. They've opened that opportunity of attack for themselves here, and they are thriving in it now, and using the rest of their utility dump to get out onto the site and hopefully get a plant started for themselves. And right on cue, here it comes from Geo as he puts the diffuser onto the ground and starts taking that timer in the other direction.
Oh, great post plant here for TSM. Have plenty of site pressure as well, still holding down initiation after this post plant. Geo with a very nice triple now, but immediately gets eviscerated by Hyper and that Alda. Still plenty of bullets inside of this clip to be able to do plenty of damage, but he's on the diffuser. Are they going to rotate in hot time? Pros don't fake, but Hyper will. Turns the other cheek. Can he get the kills? That magazine is all of a sudden quite short, and a deployable in the way of his kill means that Chala wins out on the angle instead. TSM with a very well-placed, well, really everything. They took their time, droned out. Overall, an amazing take for them. And I really, really liked how they used their hard destruction to be able to get into initiation.
Great on-the-fly setup there, too, between the two of them. You saw that Bolo had put himself behind the reinforced shield, hopefully to prevent himself from being spotted, and then also to try and hold the other angle if we saw the swing from Hyper come in the other direction there. So good job of ensuring that that was going to be, hopefully, anyway, a victory for them, regardless of how those final duels went. 2-1 now, the scoreline. TSM in control of things yet again, but the big question is, can they keep it? They have lost the lead multiple times now throughout this series. You'll see a 6 pick there for Bolo as well to put him onto the Cali, which is the closest thing you're going to get right now to a Thatcher. So hopefully making things a little bit easier for TSM to try and get reinforced walls open.
It's nice seeing Kalian play again. I know we've all actually touched on this quite often with her recent kit update, her getting that secondary SMG. But again, it is really nice to see her finally being played, because there for a while, we only saw her, I believe, like 2 to 3 times inside of Pro Play, and that was it, because she didn't have anything else to really use. Granted, she did have the secondary C75, so, I mean, she did have something to be able to assist her, but if you guys haven't used that gun before, it's literally like 3 blocks put next to each other. You can't actually see anything past the iron sight. You can see around the iron sight, obviously, but if you're trying to aim at someone's face, you're not going to find it. So having that other SMG has been helping her out quite a bit instead of picks, but also having that Thatcher Mav band come out a lot, has kind of forced teams' hands on offense to bring her. But we've already seen some very nice clips from her as well, especially with the sniper.
Got TSM out on the board. We'll be seeing exactly how Bolo will be able to try and use the Kali over these next couple of moments here. The attack is going to send itself over here into Bunk. TSM will have a new objective to work for this time. We'll start to see a little bit of pressure deployed over here towards Cafe. A drone that Eclipse will quickly take out there is going to try to swing itself past. And Bolo's waiting for his opportunity. Mind you, again, using the secondary, the SPS right now, to try and potentially swing out here, if that's going to be the circumstance, instead of that sniper rifle, which is a very, very unique gun to see. It's the only bolt-action rifle in the game, I believe.
You are indeed correct, my friend. The only bolt-action in the game, and it might be the only one for a while. Possibly have somebody else gain that in the future, I guess, but it seems pretty unique to her kits, or I don't see Ubisoft doing that anytime soon. But achieved quite a bit of damage dealt to him as they're trying to work their way through the downstairs, but already quite a bit of time expended here for TSM. We're about 1 minute and 15 seconds in, and Eclipse with the very first kill of the round as well. That's Kali off the board. That's actually huge. No more makeshift Thatchers, at least, and still plenty of utility to have to burn through as well. TSM really doesn't even have a foot inside of the map, all except for downstairs inside of the drug lab area. Merc trying to get aggressive with Achieve, but they're actually being zapped from the arcade balcony. Merc finally going for the entry, but it actually ends up working out. I was assuming that he would end up getting killed at the top of the staircase, but he's worked his way up here, claimed a kill onto Hyper, and then worked his way back down. And we also have Chala downed in the process, so quite a bit of moving parts here. Nitro Cell, he can't get a gun out in time, and Merc obliterated by that explosive device.
We're trying so hard to back away from that one, only for it to land right in front of his feet. Mint, in the meanwhile, actually switching guns on the Clash to somehow get the pick on Achieved, so that's going to end up going down. He'll potentially have another opportunity for a kill, as I didn't feel like it happened. Just kills Chala with the CCE shield shock. Now we're seeing him move forward, finally getting some damage onto the Clash, and Geo to finish it off. A little bit of a crouch check as well there, but Skies will trade back that final refrag, taking out Geo and claiming the round for DZ on top of it. Man, what a circus that was.
He was like, you're so damn rude for playing Clash, man. Come on, just stop it, please, please. Amazing map so far, though. TSM, honestly, just not being able to find anything on that round at all. They were able to eventually get control of Cafe, but really, what were they able to accomplish with it? Truly nothing. When it came down to it, Geo really only got the kill onto Clash because there was nobody else there to support Mints. It wasn't the fact that the hold had failed, right? It's the fact that it's a 1v4 and they want to make sure that no matter which way Geo chooses to go out of Cafe, he ends up dying. But overall, amazing round from DZ to be able to hold that down. Some great play there from Mint. And some stuff that you guys could possibly replicate as well. I really like seeing the Clash plate at the top of Arcade Balcony and how you're able to slow people trying to actually push up the staircase. That seems very, very abusable when played correctly like DZ did right here.
We did see Bolo's 6th pick back over onto the Capital. That pretty sure was the operator he was playing in previous rounds before he brought the Kali into the picture, so that shouldn't be too much of a surprise to DZ. The reason why they may have decided to bring Kali, we didn't get to talk about this either, but her gun is the only one that has enough stopping power to stagger shield operators. So there's a slight chance they may have also brought her in that previous round to try and get Mint hit and, you know, force her to do that, force the Clash to do that animation where the shield slightly swings off to the side, that stagger animation, and then hopefully they would have been able to kill her a little bit more quickly. But obviously that didn't come to pass as Bolo got wrecked right at the beginning of the round.
Yeah, I think Mint for that last little instance needed some notes from Valley there. You know, just 180, take the gun out, and just shoot him. That's all you got to do. You know, I think Valley's the best Clash player in the world, in case you were wondering. You know. He proves it time and time again, man. All the way back to the Raleigh Major. Did you see that? Poor Rams. Poor guy. Poor guy. We ended up actually finding out after that he was supposed to have stun grenades on Ash, and he didn't. He had breaching charges. So when he clicked the button to stun him, he just took out breaching charges and ended up getting shot in the face.
He did like the 360 spin.
Yeah,
for
he
that
did.
Too,
yes, he did. We love Veli here, let me tell you. Well, now that round 5 is started up and DarkZero holding things down for the time being, it seems that quite a few teams have the same general idea of how to attack theme park and just start from east and start clearing west for most of these upstairs sites. We've only seen TSM for the most, well, TSM obviously since they've been starting on offense, clear from Cafe that singular time, but it was more for the site than it was anything else. They are going to have Merc though on a solo mission here into Cafe to try and find anybody's footsies playing around that drone hole. But since he's by himself, he's going to have to do all of the work himself as well. So this drone game hopefully will be successful for him. Anyone could possibly rotate and find him right now, and that's the danger of doing these things lone wolf.
A lot of drone work being done, a lot of TSM trying to figure out exactly what the setup looks like so that they can come up with an appropriate plan to try and execute, hopefully without having to deal with the clash or while minimizing her risk. You should note, of course, Skies is positioned down below in maintenance right now. He could rotate up through Dragon and cause some serious damage. Actually, if he went right now, he'd more than likely get a free kill. I'm pretty sure Bolo is on drones at the moment. So he has that opportunity lined up for himself. Obviously, though, he's more than likely just going to sit back and wait for the execute and try to jump in and crunch the attack on that. That would be the smartest thing to do and the most expected thing out of a player in his position.
Well, patience, patience, patience for everyone, but finally that patience pays off for somebody, and that person's Chala. Takes down a cluster, but is immediately met with a clash that's soon dispatched by Achieve with a frag grenade. They know that one still lies inside of the office vault here, and that's going to be Hyper with that Alda. More than likely going to be peeking into that, but it's a pre-fire from Chala. Claims yet another life here, but it's TSM all over the board. Some quick gunfights, and TSM claims round 5 after what seemed like a stalemate for 2 minutes.
Yeah, if you were kind of looking at that round, like, you know, what's TSM doing? Why are they just sitting there not doing anything? That's why, because they were droning so that they could do that and basically just go in and completely knock out every single member of DZ within just a few seconds of each other, as you guys saw there. Near flawless execute from TSM, and it's all built up upon that great intel gathering from the droning that was going on in about the minute or two prior. Beautiful stuff. Again, once again, they seem to have finally figured out how to quickly deal with the clash, and that was another big piece as to why that round was a success for them as well.
Min just openly picked it this time. He was like, nah, I want you to know it's coming.
He's been doing that for like 2 rounds now.
It's coming. Are you ready? Bolo trying to decide if he wants to bring the Capitao to try and help out with that situation, but instead he's going to be bringing the Kali, which, personally speaking, I think is the right move. They're going to be attacking Armory, so you'd much rather have some sort of utility to get rid of any bandit batteries or electro claws or what have you, instead of having to do it the old-fashioned way. Get open the top, make sure you dump all of your utility in there with all those stun grenades, and then frag grenade it out. So it makes it a little bit easier for them, and might prove to have a touch of a faster round. It seems that most of these offensive rounds for TSM have been slow and steady, but as you noted, it's all because of that intel game and how much intel they need to actually make something happen on this map. Is Achieve?
10 seconds to go.
Is Achieve beneath the map?
Oh, yeah, where is he?
This man truly found out what Narnia is.
Wait, what?
Attackers objective.
Where is he right
okay,
now?
is he back in now? Is he safe? Okay.
Okay. I guess his drone fell off the map
I'm
or
going to
something,
assume
maybe?
so. Sometimes that does happen. Well, actually, no, it says he has both of his drones.
Weird. No, doesn't it say that both of them are
No,
dead?
they have access across them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot how that system works.
Gosh.
I thought when they were grayed out, they weren't available anymore.
What?
That's how it works.
Okay. Merc's inside the building, inside of storage already. Multiple gunfights already starting off. Merc, quite a bit of damage dealt to him as well. He's literally one shot. Anybody breathes on this man, he is indeed dying. They have the Vigil hunting him down now. R4C working out. It doesn't matter. It's Merc. Not even a hair on his pretty little head harmed inside of that fight with Hyper. All low jabs instead of those high haymaker punches like we're used to. Another bullet into the side, but finally Hot and Cold catches up to Merc, who seemed to be living on borrowed time.
2-for-1 trade, though, so he'll take that. That'll be an ultimate victory at the end of the day, as long as TSM can translate that into a site take, but that will be the difficult part of this. The good news, though, is that the clash obviously is becoming a little bit more of a liability in a situation like this, when you only have 2 players away from the clash that are capable of shooting shots while having that shield out at the same time. So DarkZero's got to be a little bit careful about how they proceed over these next few moments here, and specifically when push starts to work its way in from TSM due to that man disadvantage they're now up against.
Well, verticality now being worked from Achieve upstairs inside of offices. All of this soft destruction goes right above that yellow wall. Yep, you can see it right now as we switch perspectives over to Skies. Electric Claws in hand, playing that from the split. Ooh, has a Nitro Cell. Isn't going to wait, though, and ends up blowing it quite early on. So Achieved going to take 0 damage from that, and Sky's now down a Nitro Cell. So only way to try and prevent anything now is, well, try and kill him with some bullets, but doesn't even matter. Achieve with a nicely placed frag grenade into split, takes him down.
That's what the collar is for.
That's, well, that's it. TSM just kind of walks into sight and kills everybody. And also that, I forgot that does that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before. That's the other reason why that's actually probably the main reason why they bought her, now that I'm thinking about it. It wasn't necessarily for the Thatcher assist. It was for, I think it was for that effect.
That's more than likely both, though, right? Because he did end up using it.
Yeah, the other one's more of a bonus at that point, but
oh man. No, that actually, in comparison to like Zofia and the other operators that are brought in order to deal with Clash, honestly, that seems to be one of the best ways, thinking about it. Just shoot him with a collie shot and it knocks it sideways. You have somebody stand there with you. That seems like one of the easiest ways to go about it.
Because as long as the collie's not peeking like too aggressively, she literally just has to spam shots on the shield, and it just gives whoever's with her more opportunities to kill them.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
And obviously, you can't really miss that shield, so.
No, it's quite large.
Yeah, I think you got other problems if you're missing that shield.
Yeah.
Well, either way, we're gonna go into yet another throne defense here, as TSM will now take over control of the defensive side of this map. DarkZero go on to the attack for the first time with a deficit as well. So we'll have to see if they can bring it back under their control. TSM certainly took them a couple rounds, and even through that, we're still picking up victories. But they finally figured out how to deal with this delay tactic that had been used throughout most of the half by DarkZero and get onto the site with a good amount of time, I should say, left over, so that they could finish off the round in most circumstances through just outright fragging the members of DarkZero.
It's crazy to me how Theme Park has been playing between these two teams so far. Obviously, coming into Theme Park, there's going to be things that you assume, right? Like for one thing that I assumed was going, okay, well, more than likely going to be slightly defender-sided because of the bans. I like the way that ended up transpiring. Helps out them a lot because they ended up starting there, right? But it went the exact opposite way. DarkZero's down 2 rounds. TSM winning 4 offensive rounds with no Maverick and no Thatcher. And as you and I were talking about before, I truly think that the only thing standing in their way of some more rounds was the Clash. The Clash pick helped out DarkZero a lot. TSM didn't even truly fail at getting a wall open ever either.
Continuing on the action here into round number 7, things are pretty quiet, as you come to expect from the beginning of a DZ round. They're going to be spending a lot of time stacking up here. You can see quite a few of them trying to go for upstairs control first instead of going right down to try to open either yellow barrels or maintenance walls leading into throne room there. We've got TSM on the other side of this, waiting for that potential battle against DZ here. Hyper, in the meanwhile, looking to potentially push out. He does have a rotate, so we can try to swing onto yellow, but that's going to be very dangerous. Quite a few angles he has to contend with if he works his way out there. He'll smartly decide to fall back, group up in waiting room with Skies and some of his other teammates, and potentially try to push out from this way. A lot of time, again, though, being wasted here. This has been a common theme throughout this map, is just time getting drained down. And at the moment, that's happening again here in the first attacking round for DZ.
Oh no, Bolo full stun, but that's the beauty of a balcony. You can jump right down and save your life. Hyper pre-fires, and Geo steps out of the room at the wrong time, ends up losing his life for it. So, DarkZero, after a very nice roam clear, able to claim 1 and has vertical control, but they still have to worry about all of this site utility. Specifically, Nitro Cells, Achieved playing the aggressive bandit, as I like to call it. With no barbed wire, he'd rather bring that explosive device instead to be able to assist him. Bolo has 1 as well. So, with the rest of the TSM squad trying to find a safe haven to play, DarkZero has to figure out where they want to get this wall open and exactly how to get a diffuser down. Bolo's already transitioned as well with Merc. They're still technically speaking on roam. Chal and Achieved practically playing directly on top of each other as DarkZero's going for maintenance wall.
See quite a bit of that metagame going out between the two teams right now as they try to get access to the wall. Eclipse with a great nade over the top of it is going to be able to eliminate Chala, taking him out of the fight, at least for now. 3 versus 5 here. DarkZero so far with uncontested control of their opening round on the attacking side. TSM have to put a stop to this in the site. Drone gonna go right up on top of Achieved. He's being completely overwhelmed by utility right now. Houghton trying to swing in to get the pick onto him. He finds it, but is immediately traded as Merc also comes in for the assist against him. Bolo picks up 1 frag against Skies. Hyper, though, starts to bring things back under his team's control, but there's only 4 seconds left to start that plan. Merc is going to be alone to try and stop this from happening. Finds a pick against Mint, but he can't deny the plant. That goes down onto the ground directly behind Throne. And apparently, Merc is none the wiser to that. Eclipse swings out from behind the Throne itself, finishes him off, and gives DarkZero their first attacking round.
Well, followed up a great shot by an even greater shot from Eclipse. So, overall, very nice round from DarkZero, and we continue this trend of offense winning out these rounds, John. Armory Throne Room of all places as well, because again, like we were talking about earlier, this is the one site that literally everyone in the entire scene pointed at and said, this site is broken. I don't understand why this site is the way that it is. There needs to be more soft destruction. And the map devs of Ubisoft said, just wait. You'll see how it plays. And to be completely honest with you, it seems to be playing out just fine. Again, we don't have too much utility to be able to deal with these walls, and it's been a lot of utility dumping over the wall to burn out all those ADSs and discs, but obviously we don't have to worry about those right now. But burn out those ADSs and then frag grenade your actual wall. And I think that that's why we saw that Wamai ban once again, is just to split those throwable denials in half to where you actually are able to get these walls and not have to use 90% of your utility to do so. But as we're going to see, Merc's going to stack up all 3 ADSs. And if you guys are new here and are trying to learn something, that's 6 throwables. Quick math. We got it right this time, chat. Can we get a PogChamp for Stokes? Thank you so much, guys. I can do math. I can count. Hallelujah. But for the rest of the squad, though, seems that we're going to be going about things in very similar fashion. I want to see why they shifted Merc off of the Ella, though, because it seemed that the Grishmots could have possibly helped them out with the roam clear, especially upstairs, made those gunfights just a touch easier if they wanted to reallocate the utility there. But for now, though, it seems that Merc's going to be just a touch more aggressive than he was in the prior round.
So we've got the members of DZ spawn. Merc trying to get a little bit aggressive here at the beginning of the round with this peek out the doorway. The question will be whether he'll actually get anything from this, though, as it's looking like everybody from DZ is just going to roll right past him, none the wiser. He'll end up falling back and heading upstairs instead now to play into a defensive position, possibly in showers if he wants to still line up and try to find an early pick here, but we'll follow up with him in just a moment here, as at the moment he's hanging out top yellow.
Well, DZ starting things off on the eastern side, as we saw TSM do quite a few times, and as you're talking about before, things tending to trend towards the offense. Air jab still in play for DarkZero, and Mint's bringing Nomad to the field. So, gonna have one of those down on the top of the staircase, as well as some rotations cut off. So, shouldn't be too easy for TSM to actually get a flank off here, especially with Merc not running visual or anybody with impacts. He's actually going to have to visibly see it and shoot it, and that's the difficulty of those air jabs. You can put them in so many weird spots where you're not able to get to them unless you have an explosive device.
A lot of that damage going on to Eclipse, but aside from that, no early kills being found here. TSM with a lot of upstairs play. In a moment here, they're going to more than likely have to rotate back down. We saw how much DarkZero was able to just unload all of their utility over this wall in the previous round and be able to get access as a result of that. In goes the frag grenade. That will take care of at least the first attempt to stop the wall. Eclipse is going to throw another nade over here, though. You can see that tiny little stick coming out from the wall. That is the Electric Claw. The nade goes in, tries to take out Achieved. It does deal with the Electric Claw. It's not going to find Achieved, though, but that does mean the wall is getting open, and DarkZero now has better access to the
You have
site.
to feel so bad for TSM there. Merc put all of that utility on the ground just for it to be out of range to catch any of those frag grenades, but masterfully done from Eclipse. Hyper gets a kill for his leisure as well, and DarkZero in the lead here in round 8. Sub-minute now. They need to be able to get a plant down. That's exactly what Hot and Cold's going to start. And behind the throne now as the cross is being held from Eclipse and the rest of the squad, and it's working out well. Already have quite a few kills, but Shala and Bolo come alive when they are needed most. 2 versus 3, but still all remaining members of DZ up and alive moving into this post plant. Actually ended up not planting behind the throne room. They planted it in the corner by this little house inside the throne area. Eclipse is going to have to peek for it, and this is actually going to be very damaging here as Chala's lighting up the world. All of the bullets inside of that gun coming home now and claiming 2 kills. Alda still with rounds inside of it as well, but Skies gets one down into the 1 versus 1 now, but he doesn't know where the last man stands. Oh, ends up getting peeked. It's a soft wall as well, but it's the pistol whip for Skies. Bolo with some great aim, but not good enough today as DarkZero ties things up.
Ooh, Skies, man. Flirting with death multiple times on that one, but he ends up making it out of it, even going past motion sensors and everything that could have been thrown at him by the attackers at that point. But we'll still end up seeing a good round played out by DarkZero, and more importantly, a tie point gained by them. 4-4. They're going to lock this one up, just like over on our last map for Villa. We will end up seeing the teams tied up here in the second half and fighting for every inch that they can get on this map and every inch that gets them closer to that hopeful 7th round. 6th pick going to be used here by TSM, or at least it would appear to be the case. They're showing the clash, but they're not about that. They don't want to bring that into the fold, it seems. Vigil is the real pick for Geo.
If it doesn't have a primary gun, I don't want it. That's kind of the mentality right now for TSM. And I mean, you can't blame them. They have some of the best fraggers in the world. You'd much rather have them be impactful through that than something that maybe they haven't tried just yet. But obviously, it being TSM, them being a top 5 team in the world, I'm sure they're no stranger to Clash at all. We are going to shift Merc away from more of a roaming role, though, and put him on the mute. So he'll have the SMG-11 shoddy combo with that Nitro Cell. We'll see if he can be impactful with that this time around.
Located by attackers.
You saying shields can't be guns?
That's exactly what I'm saying, actually.
I've got a bad operator idea for you.
Wait. I've got it. Does it start with a B?
I don't think so.
Does he have a beard? Does he look like Zeronic?
Yeah, actually, that's true. I hadn't even thought about that.
What? There's one in the game already.
No, I was going for a new operator.
No, okay. Hey, Ubisoft, listen.
I kind of just forgot Blackbeard existed for a few minutes there. So
Ubisoft, you guys didn't hear that. We don't need another one of those. And
I mean, I was thinking more like Montaigne size shield with a gun in it.
But... Why are you talking right now? What are you doing? You're destroying my immersion, John.
All right, let's get back to the match as we're starting to see DarkZero line up to take some control, primarily towards Cafe, but as is always the case with these things, the options are pretty much open for DarkZero right now, especially upstairs. They do need to work themselves eventually over towards Labs, which is TSM's next site choice to defend here. TSM keeping it with it in the kind of somewhat odd site choices. I don't want to call this one out for being non-meta, because there really isn't a huge established meta for this map yet, but still, Lab is definitely one of the sites that you think of last on this map, at least in my opinion.
I completely agree with you as well. On the old theme park, actually, it was one of the most played sites when it came to, well, more casual play, obviously, as the original theme park was never inside of professional play. But for this, especially for this map, I would say now, absolutely, I would agree with you. We are going to have some verticality now, though. Actually, did that end up coming from them, or was that a Nitro Cell? No, it was not a Nitro Cell from underneath. We do have 3 of those, and that's something worth notating. There's going to be a lot of vertical play here, and TSM is looking to stop as much of it as possible. That's exactly why they're bringing the Pulse as well. So hopefully they can have some very well-placed Nitro Cells to claim some kills early on here. Trying to ping out one's location right now, but still plenty of time wasted here from TSM as we're getting down to the minute very quickly here. I feel like we blinked and we're already almost through this round. Quite a bit of damage dealt to Merc as well. Some long angles adopted by Hyper through barrels. But it's for TSM right now, who is actually just waiting on timer. There's not a single thing that they truly need to do. No real gunfights to be had. But Shaw will find one for himself, but quite a bit of damage will ensue onto him as well.
A little bit of drone hunting to be done here for Chala right now as he's taking them out left and right. Like roaches running across the floor down there, but he's able to get rid of them. Start to see Eclipse. Nearly has himself a lineup, but doesn't realize that the Nitro Cell is thrown at him. So he's going to go down to that. Achieved. Picks him off. Once again, we're going to sit pretty close to each other, but Merc is going to push the advantage even further now with a double as he takes out Skies and Hot and Cold. Min's not going to last that long either as Bolo comes out from Connector, finishes him off, and claims another round for TSM.
It's amazing the times today that patience has just been working out for the defenses. It's really been on the offense to try and push things and, well, obviously push things and clear things and try to get towards sight. But I like how both of these squads on defense have slowly been giving up map control in certain areas to maintain their life and keep their utility alive. It's worked out very, very well for them so far. And we'll have to see how the rest of this ends up getting flushed out. But for right now, TSM looking pretty well in the driver's seat going into Bunk Daycare defense.
Once again, though, needing to try and find these last couple rounds to close out now that they're going back to the more typical sites that we've been seeing teams select. This is where things are probably going to get a little bit more difficult for them, because similarly on Villa, this is also where we saw DarkZero. Obviously, since it's more like in trend with the meta, this is where we saw DarkZero pick up a lot more of their attacking rounds. It's, honestly, they were just more familiar with what they kind of had to do in those situations. And I would expect nothing but the same here. But similarly to the last map, DarkZero are dealing with a lot of potential delay if it's played properly by TSM. Now, important to note here is we don't have that additional wall denial that had been present for DarkZero throughout most of their halves. And okay, no bandit in play here to try and trick out the walls or anything and prevent access. That does mean that DarkZero can get that part of the job done in relatively clean fashion. However, the mute is still going to cause some delay, but much less so than we would normally see.
5 seconds to insertion.
All right, well, still missing at least one reinforcement here for B, and it seems that TSM is actually going to go about holding down this site similar to how we saw Tempo Storm actually hold down this site, Blue, where they ended up making this rotate into initiation. So apparently that's the wave. Apparently that's the way to do it. So, I mean, hey.
And that would explain the lack of wall.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that explains a lot. They'd much rather have the gunfights and try and delay over here towards waiting on the east side of the map with these long angles made as well. I'm really liking this setup from TSM. I'm really interested to see how DarkZero is going to go about this, because this is entirely set up for them to attempt to take cash and just get ran through the meat grinder.
Merc with some near unfortunate timing there as we see the hatch get broken directly above him. Thankfully, he moves pretty quickly, gets himself out of what could have been a bad situation. He stuck around for a couple more seconds for Eclipse to see him. Eclipse will now just open up the control hatch as well. And the team, well, we're not going to see any hop-ins happen, of course, this early, but we're going to start to see the drones check things out and cache and control. So that we can now begin to see DZ move in and take some map control. Dragon's first up for them. They're more than likely going to follow it through by swinging into control here in a second. Mid's currently clear to do that. Cuts off the rotate, prevents any extra aggression from Merc.
Okay.
And actually, oh, wow. All right, man, you really don't want to get pushed from control. All three are going to go down in that
Well,
room.
there's rotation denial, and then there's you're absolutely not. You're absolutely not. I don't care. Just debate your mother. It doesn't matter. You're not coming this way. You're going to have to straight up gunfight us. And I think that's exactly what DarkZero wants. But, oh, in between a rock and a hard place now.
Attackers drop the diffuser.
Very nice shot from Merc to predict Houghton being on top of the wall, but I'm going to assume that he more than likely saw his foot before that or something. Either way, amazing shot from him and something we've come to expect. That's diffuser down outside as well, and with the timer all of a sudden becoming a factor, this is very, very important for DZ. They have to rotate someone. It seems like they've rotated most of the squad. Hyper's still across with Mint over on the eastern side, and TSM still has quite a few troops over here as well. Bolo and Chala both inside of initiation. Chala can rotate towards waiting as well if he wants to try and grab an angle in towards cash. Hyper still droning things out. Sees the top of yellow is clear, so Cafe will be good to take as Eclipse works his way up yellow. Seems that this is going to be kind of a half take towards the daycare area, but no, DZ spring into action. Seems that all of those air jabs made them feel safe at home, and yet another good shot from Sky is off of a pixel angle. Yes, an amazing read by him indeed, John. Good drone work here, but Mint's even faster. Geometrics, the last man alive, and he's been droned inside of daycare. Works his way towards arcade. He knows the diffuser's still outside. Pre-fires a touch scared, but he doesn't need very many bullets. Bad news bears, though. No magazine left for him, but Hyper definitely still has some rounds in the chamber, and he'll put those rounds into Geo's head. DarkZero looking quite good on this offensive side once again. I truly thought that that round was going to be all TSM's.
Yeah, no, that was the same. Sorry for like adding random
No, you're
sound
fine.
effects.
I do it all the time. You're talking to the
but,
guy that literally yells all the time over what you're doing. Are you kidding? It's fine. Don't worry about it.
We're seeing some pretty, some pretty cool stuff in that round just on the aim, like Geo's little transfer off the drone kill there. That was pretty sweet. Ultimately for naught though, as the round still ends up going into DZ's hands, as they're going to tie us up now at 5-5. DZ with some really great pacing there. Obviously things didn't start out that well with the aggressive attempt to push to the inside of Cafe that's denied by a member of TSM right at the start, but they take a step back, take a moment to kind of try and read into the situation and exactly what TSM is doing. And TSM, in the meanwhile, they start to overextend their hand a little bit. They continue to play aggressively. Now, to be fair, they had reason to do that at that point. They already had the opening kill, and stylistically, we've seen them continue to kind of push the envelope even past the first kill on that sort of thing in the past. But this time, it just doesn't work out. DZ reads into all their peaks from that point forward and counters them and flips the man advantage right back into their own control.
All I gotta say after these play days we've been having for NAL, John, is that the EUL could never, dude. I'm just saying, like right. they could never. The quality of games that we've been having in every single best of 3 that we've had is insane. I think we've only had one bad best of 3 throughout the entire NAL so far. The EU League has been great, but I mean, it's like every single game that we see inside of the NAL is brought to this crazy point that we never thought it was going to be. Even inside of the matches that we thought were going to be blowouts.
You really got to give props to all the teams. They've been doing some fantastic prep work in the off season to make sure that, like, for this big debut, they brought the best performances that they can. And I would say for pretty much all of our teams that was certainly what they've been bringing to the table in these first 2 weeks of matches. It's been really good to watch. We've had some really exciting games and a lot of surprises, especially from like the underdogs and whatnot. They've really been outperforming, I think, the expectations that a lot of people have been putting on them, especially looking at last week's games. Last week's games were a real treat to see.
Dude, I love Rainbow Six. That's all I gotta say, really. Like, it's just a masterfully made game. I know that we have our problems and that kind of stuff, but when it comes down to entertainment factor, there's no game in my mind that truly beats it. It's something else when it comes down to strategy and gunplay and all that kind of stuff. But now we're a minute in here, and TSM's still on defense, folks. If you guys are just tuning in, this has been neck and neck on both maps. We are into map 2 now. DarkZero and TSM all tied up 5-5. Remember, first 1 to 7 inside of regulation wins. But as we've seen, both of these teams, again, in neck and neck. We're more than likely headed to OT here if I had to put my money somewhere. So, DarkZero, mainly focused on getting maintenance control right now, are going to have to deal with some of their own medicine. They brought a lot of clash on their defense, and Geo going to follow suit.
Nitrocell tape's been ripped by Achieved. He's going to cancel it for right now, though. And probably a smart move. That little wooden pillar in the middle of the breach right there probably would have eaten the Nitrocell up. So I think he was just getting it ready in the event he needed to try and toss it out quickly, but wasn't the case. Now starting to creep up to it, ready to try and potentially put the breach charge up against the wall. Started off. The Nitrocell goes over, though, does some good damage to Hot and Cold, but doesn't finish him off. And at the same time, they haven't been able to deal with the Electric Claw sitting on the other side of the wall. It's currently getting eaten up by ADSs the first time they try to throw something over, and it just got eaten again. That should be both the frag grenades now gone for the attackers. However, Eclipse still has his. There we go. Looks like they ate up flashes, not frags, excuse me. So that one from Eclipse will go through and open up the capability for the wall to be breached.
Yeah, ended up having to use those breaching rounds from Ash. That was that you heard from her breaching round going off, but very close, John. I commend you for that. So you're fine, man. Sound good. It's, I've got way too much time in this. I could literally probably have like had an entire family if I didn't play this game, Anyways, concussions in now, specifically impacts actually, so they're trying to deal with the clash, and yet another man achieved actually behind Throne. They need to be able to get this diffuser down now with only 5 seconds remaining, but they've blown the opposite wall. This is so very important. Eclipse with 2. He's going to have to swing for 3 now, though, as Chala's lighting the entire world on fire with this Alda. Bolo taken down inside a split. It's all left up to Chala as he pushes it towards the double kill. Pre-fires now, but not very many rounds left. Instead decides to go for it in the post plant. Reloads, gets that clip size back up to 81 rounds. Still has some sort of intel, though. Has to worry about quite a few angles. One in behind the actual throne as well. One inside of barrels. Let's see how Chala goes about this. Worried about both, but oh no, in between where he needed to be, and actually was in the wrong area altogether, as Mint with a very nice rotate outside goes towards Dragon Door and is able to find himself that last kill. DarkZero claim the lead here, and if they end up winning this next round, the series.
Yeah, unfortunately, not much hope in that 1vx situation there. They had Crossfire set up for pretty much every single angle that Last Man Alive could have tried to go for. So it was going to be a very, very tough clutch if it was going to be possible to begin with, but just not realistic there. So DZ close out on another successful execute onto Throne Room. And like you said, now sit on match point here. The potential to end this series in 2-0 fashion against TSM. It's been so close as well. We want to see TSM fight back and take us to that third map. And this round will be the one that they have to do it on. Otherwise, things will close out and TSM will get knocked down into the lower bracket for phase 1 here.
It's been so very impressive how both of these teams have been playing throughout this entire series. And I know we've been talking about it quite a bit, but when it comes to two teams squaring off against each other of this caliber, it is truly impressive what they're able to accomplish. I mean, looking over at our CGG ratings, both of these teams are top 5 in the entire world right now. And DarkZero is on the cusp of 2-0ing their competitor. And actually, fun fact, DarkZero is 3rd and TSM is 4th. So as much crap as everybody likes giving CGG about, oh, your ratings, oh this, oh that, they might not be that far off.
Certainly the case. And we'll get a chance to really prove that rating here in a moment if DarkZero is able to seal the deal on this matchup and take the 2-0. Very close 2-0, but a 2-0 indeed. That's TSM here. Keep in mind, our first map went the full distance, all 15 rounds. And I would not be surprised if TSM came back to at least force that same 15-round match again here.
Okay, well, DZ's starting on the eastern balcony. Drones starting up, and we need some intel here. What's the game plan, DarkZero? Well, as we saw the last time, it had some drones early on, took cash control, and then started working their way in before adjusting some troops over towards Cafe. And a pretty good flank the last time as well that bagged them quite a few kills, so we'll see if the same thing happens this time. Shield set up to watch waiting. Good setup inside of office as well to be able to have some supporting angles here. I like what they've developed for Merc as well inside of this waiting hallway, so he can actually watch most of the cash room. This should delay quite a bit of time unless DarkZero is able to get a kill pretty early on.
2 minutes on the clock here. Still plenty of time for DarkZero to start their push. Already some duels that they'll have to try and find for themselves, though, before they work their way in. Ooh, we've got pings coming in. Some great bottom to top work attempted, at least here, by Skies. It's a little off the mark. They get a hot ping now for another player upstairs. I don't know if that part of the floor is destructible or not, though, so they might have kind of lost their chance to try and find these guys out.
Well, TSM now seem to want to go for a rotate as they see that, well, Skies is beneath. Could possibly have a frag here, but Skies needs to be aware of this rotation. On DarkZero, there should be a drone somewhere to be able to pick that up. A little bit of damage done to Merc, but you guys will hear that hard destruction go off. Another Toxic Babe pops, and only 1 minute and 8 seconds as TSM is in hot water while blown open into the actual office from Cash now as well. So looks like for the time being, they want to attempt this office plant, but they still have to worry about that shotgun. You don't want to tango too close to the sun, otherwise you're going to get burned. And Eclipse has already been down. This looks truer and truer to what John was saying before. We might be headed to OT here, folks, as DarkZero is at a stalemate.
Timing continues to tick lower here for DarkZero. DarkZero is a team that can thrive under that environment, however, so that's not the death bell starting to toll for them just yet. Nitro Cell out against Mint. Looks like he shot it, though. Was able to actually prevent it from blowing up, so good aim there from Mint. Mark, though, is still going to get the better of another DarkZero member over on the other side of the map as he eliminates Hyper. And is still sitting here, patiently waiting for more, although at lower HP. Hot and Cold decides to push. He's got a good chance to trade it back. Mint, in the meantime, gets one, unscopes, rescopes in for it. Skies picks up Achieve, but Geo is able to trade that right back out. We're locked into a 2v2. They need to commit themselves to a site push right now and start putting the diffuser on the ground. There it goes from Hutton. Can he complete it? He can't get off of it now. He's locked into it. Mint holds for the first one. Will the plant go onto the ground? Oh, yes! And Mint, not even needing the plant, goes right in for the final frag, taking out the last man alive from TSM and securing the 2-0 victory for DarkZero Esports.
Oh my, what a hold there from Mint. Put the entire team on his back when he was needed most. Such an impactful player, and that's exactly why he's on this DarkZero squad, ladies and gentlemen. Overall, an amazing series between both of these teams, but DarkZero does it in 2-0 fashion.
TSM, of course, certainly putting up a great fight. Shala and Merc leading the frag count for the team there with 12 and 11 kills, respectively, if I caught it correctly there before we lost our scoreboard. So still really fighting to the bitter end, but this time it's not going to be enough to push OT, and even worse, it's not going to be enough to push for that third and final map. A good fight, but DZ is the winner for today. They take a 2-0 victory and will be your champion, folks. That is going to do it for Stokes and myself, but we still have a little bit more show to come. Don't go anywhere just yet. We still have the winner's interview and the final analysis test segment coming up right after this break.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing with our analysts Veli and Jesse, and DarkZero doing it in 2, defeating TSM. And there were lots of exceptional plays, but let's go back to round 2. Mint on Clash in the throne room. Veli, you were talking about this a bit. He was successfully blocking in the entry point.
Yeah, I really liked what he did, but the problem was earlier on, Mint was dying pretty fast. After that, he was starting to slow down. They funneled in all of TSM through that one breach in the wall. The one thing that I wish I saw DarkZero do a lot more, though, their own game. They were behind in barrels. They were all around, and you saw Hyper with an opportunity to go absolutely big earlier on. He came too late on the flank. If they can master that strategy to where they can hide those roamers better to swarm the map, which is something I wish DZ did more. I felt like on defense, they could have been a lot more deadlier.
Yeah, I think that first half really did live and die based off of Mint's Clash. The way he played that operator was he just like sat the Clash right in front of the maintenance wall. And they said, this is the only way you're coming into this bomb site. I know that, so have fun looking at this Clash. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Really, it was like, okay, if you can kill the Clash, not even just on Throne Room, of course. When they went upstairs as well, this was true. If they could kill the Clash, if they could deal with it early enough in the round, they could walk on in, they could get those kills, they could plant, and they'd be all fine. And when they couldn't kill the Clash, things really did fall apart for TSM. They dealt with it a couple different ways. Once it was a frag grenade from Achieved. Once, a couple times it was Bolo, once it was with the Kapitao crossbow bolts, once it was just with the Kali. So there was a couple different tactics they used to deal with the Clash. Overall, they were pretty successful. I thought TSM had a pretty good attacking half, but yeah, in the end of things, obviously, DarkZero did walk away with the win, and those rounds they scraped by with the Clash definitely helped.
One thing I want to say, the chat, all the bronzes in the chat are gonna hate me right now. Parker might hate me as well, but you know what? If those shield ops are available and they're not banned, y'all need to pick them. Clash was extremely powerful, especially on the second floor, and I mean, I would like to say that I would be one of them that would like to see more of that.
And I want to talk about some of our favorite plays. Round 8 stuck out to me. Veli, you were calling Sky's John Wick. I was like cracking up. Blue said that he was flirting with death repeatedly, but I know a couple other rounds stuck out to you both as well.
Jesse, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I wanted to draw attention to the lab storage defense that was brought by TSM. This is obviously their map pick, so I've been prepping for it for a while, I assume. And it was kind of an interesting one because obviously lab storage is one of those bomb sites that we don't really see a lot of play. It's pretty bad, usually, but TSM managed to make it work. They extended themselves pretty far throughout that bottom floor. They had like players all the way back in like Throne Room and barrels, and they sort of had a lot of that opened up. So it was a unique strategy, I thought, from TSM to really like make that bottom floor all theirs and to really just like have a wide enough roam that they could get a lot of kills, and DarkZero were certainly not expecting it. So that round in particular, I thought just exemplified the strategies that TSM sometimes bring to the table, because often the strats get overshadowed by teams like DarkZero and Space Station, but TSM absolutely have the capability to bring in good strats, and that was one of them that I thought was worth highlighting.
Round 11 to me was extremely special because one person who's been extremely quiet all series in regards to big plays, Eclipse, he finally had his moment. So Gio was on Clash, and TSM said, you know, whatever you can do, we can do better. Eclipse said, okay, you're wrong. After DarkZero opened up that maintenance breach wall, right? They started, right before they funneled in, they waited at the very moment that right when they pushed in, Eclipse got that wall open thanks to his teammate and was able to not only kill Clash, but to get, what, a 2K, a 3K? Eclipse was lights out right there. I thought that was a big momentum swing, and for someone like Eclipse to have a play like that again, it felt really good because I loved his gameplay on his previous rosters like Rogue.
Yeah, a lot of fun plays as we were saying, but we actually have Mint on deck. Mint, congratulations, beating TSM in 2 games. No easy feat, man.
No, not at all, and I am exhausted. Thanks for having me again, though.
I'm sure you are, but I do want to ask you, what was your mindset going into this matchup? What were you telling your team? Because this was a big one.
This was a big one, but I mean, every game for us, honestly, is a big one. We set very high expectations for us as a roster, as a team. So I mean, we're hoping to perform every play day, and this was a good statement game, I guess, for us. You know, we started a little slow against Sonics, started a wee bit slow, you know, on our defenses on Villa, or our attacks, I think it was. But I think, you know, just kind of showed that, you know, we are resilient as a team. This couple losses in rounds used to get us down as a team, and I think now we just like have this one round at a time mentality, and it's just a huge win for the team.
Well, looking very sharp today, and I'm sure you may have heard our analysts were talking about your usage of Clash. Can you emaborate on what your game plan was?
Yeah, pretty much all I can play is shields. No, but with Wamai being banned, the wall is going to get open, kind of thing. Walls are definitely going to get open with the Wamai ban. So the thought process is just like, all right, with a Clash, I could just look at them. I think one round they literally try to just funnel 5 people through the breach. So as long as I was able to dodge the fires, which I only think I did one round, they weren't going to be able to go in. And then like the same thing. I mean, it's a 3-lane map, theme park, and unless they hit the back, they're only going to come from 3 lanes. So with Clash, there's so much other stuff they have to waste ADS for that they really can't deal with me unless they bring like a Kali or something. But yeah, just a really hard operator to kind of like move around.
Well, you used her well, and I want to give you a chance to hype Hyper a little bit. I just feel like he has had a tremendous influence on your team. He's just been popping off lately.
Yes, the off season for Hyper was literally, it's like a transformation. The amount of work he's putting in is unreal. I think it's just like a growing up moment that I wish people knew, like the Hyper back then, used to not wake up for scrims, and now it's literally he's first up. He's always watching VODs. He's always coming up with, on Villa, he came up with all our like Cade plays where they weren't able to get the electric claws off. Like he puts in so much time, and then like his fragging ability with it, like the dude is the best player for sure.
Aww. You not doing too bad yourself, though. We saw that last round there. You getting a 4K. I was wondering what was going through your mind right there. Were you just like, we need to get this win in 2, or what were you thinking?
Pretty much, please no overtime. I'm getting old. I need to go to bed. That's pretty much what was going through my mind. The young guys eventually leave some scraps for me to pick up, and in that round I was able to come through when we needed it. Alex made a great call. We got clogged exactly. We wanted to go to office. He made a great call, made Matt rotate with the bomb, and then Matt just trusted me to cover him, and I'm just glad I can come through for the team.
We're running out of time here, but really quickly, today y'all really proved yourselves. Do you feel as though your team is the best in the US division?
I mean, we feel like we do. We feel like this is the strongest that we have ever felt as a roster. It took us a while to get here, but we feel like we finally, have gotten or getting close to where we want to go. Our map pool is as strong as ever. People used to think we were weak at theme park, and here we are winning it in a best of 3. So, yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the future with this team. I think we still have a lot of room to grow, but definitely ready to take down every other NA team and take the top again.
Mint, y'all looking very, very good today. Congratulations on your victory. Go enjoy yourself. Go get some sleep. You said you're exhausted.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mint. And let's go back to our analysts, Veli and Jesse. Oh, he's so sweet. He's like, I am absolutely put out. You can't blame him. That was quite a matchup there. Anything specifically stick out to both of you during the interview?
Not the interview, but I'm looking at the stats right now. Hyper was 30-18. Yeah. 30-18. And not only that, but, yes, TSM lost.
Wow.
Chala was 21-18, and Achieve was 23-19. These guys played out of control. And before all of this started, I said, you know what? I don't think anything's going to top Tempo versus Sonics. That game was amazing. I loved it. Give me more of that.
Yeah, I want to build up on Hyper as well, because obviously performed really well these last 2 weeks. And Mint talked about the transformation. DarkZero is a really great mini documentary series that they're going to be putting out every week, I believe. And they put up the first episode after last week's matches. And they talked a little bit about how Hyper has been working a lot on listening to calls better, both fragging and also paying attention to what his teammates are saying. So I feel like that's like part of that transformation that's happened within the team and within Hyper. So it is really great to see that DarkZero are starting to grow up these players. Hyper looks like the best player in North America for sure. Maybe the best player in the world. Like, this guy's nuts. I want to see him at international land first. But, oh my god, he's been killing it so far.
Yeah, lots of hype for Hyper and much deserved. But really quickly, we want to get to our Corsair play of the day. All right, we changed things up a little bit. So now you both have to kind of guess what you think it's going to be. What are your guesses? What are you thinking?
The Chala 1v2 where he kills Skies first in kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to be a Chala clutch on Villa, I'm thinking. I don't know which, but I'm thinking Chala clutch on Villa.
Okay, let's see. Let's roll the video and see which one was selected.
Let's go.
And Corsair, play of the day.
Oh, this one.
Oh, this was good too.
Big Daddy
This
Mint.
was really good. We just saw this one.
Yeah, we just talked to Mint about this one. Nice.
That's amazing to see because, you know, Mint, he's turning into an old man now, so I didn't know if he had to reflex aim and skill. I thought when he tried to flick on the second guy, he was going to catch carpal tunnel or something. But you know what? Shout out to Mint. And if they keep this up, I hope Crocs, the company, the brand is watching. Y'all see what DarkZero's capable of. Give him some slippers. Give him some shoes. Sponsor this team.
My goodness.
They the cream of the crop, all right? I'm really happy for DarkZero, and they should feel really good about this win.
Yeah, definitely. And we need to get to the bracket really quickly. Jesse, can you start off breaking down Group B and just recapping the day?
Yeah, so if you weren't here 5 minutes ago, DarkZero TSM 2-0 for DarkZero, and that'll be completing DarkZero's time in our first phase here of Stage 1. They will move on to Phase 2. They go on to the winners group where they'll be playing against the best of the best DarkZero lockdown top 4. Remember, earlier on in the week, we had Sonics defeat Tempo Storm. That means Tempo Storm are going to be finishing dead last in this group. That means they're going to be locking down bottom 4, which is really not where you want to be. At least one more game to figure out who's going to be second, who's going to be third. TSM and Sonics will be playing next week to figure that one out. And again, the winner will join DarkZero in the upper group, Group A, and the loser will join Tempo Storm in the next Group B.
All right, Veli, Group A, break it down.
Group A, let's break it down. The world champ, Space Station Gaming, finally caught that L. It was a beautiful win by Oxygen. So Oxygen automatically top 2 for this group and top 4 for Phase 2. Now, what does that mean? Space Station Gaming, they're going to have to redeem themselves against the hot rising gunners on Disrupt Gaming, NJR, and Nyx, and the rest of the fellas over there. They will battle it out for top 2. I feel like this match right here, I don't know what it is about it. I really expect this one to be one of the best we've seen.
All right. Well, lots of great professional play next week. We also have the Canada Division and Challenger League on Friday. Do not miss out on all of this Rainbow Six action. And again, big thank you to my analysts, big thank you to the casters, huge thank you to the crew, and of course, a big thank you to all of you at home. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate y'all. See you soon.
Drop the bomb.